and Texas A&M have an outstanding offensive line.
Of course, the question all week for Baylor, after not throwing even one pass in their win last week at SMU, is the status of J.J. Joe, who has a sore shoulder. He didn't practice much at all this week. He did warm up throwing before the game, but we also expect to see quite a bit of true freshman Lamont Moore at quarterback.
Lamont Moore took basically all of the snaps throughout practice this week. There's a possibility he will start, but he will definitely play, and the question will be about J.J. Joe's shoulder.
These are the winningest programs in the Southwest Conference since 1985. We'll have more in Waco in a moment.
If you could step back far enough, you could see this country as one big machine. Always moving, changing, working, with a pause now and then. Held together by the belts and pulleys of highways and back roads, and running on the desire that each day will be a little better than the last. And if you looked in close at how this machine works, in every turn of every gear, you'd see a Ford F-Series. The best-selling full-size pickup 16 years running. It's the truck more people keep turning to get down to business or get them far from it. And whether your part of the machine is running fence line or running errands, you'll find Ford F-Series pickups are designed and built to do it with no questions asked, which keeps this big machine of ours running that much better. And to think, you thought it was just a truck. Ford F-Series, the #1 selling truck, is built Ford tough.
The cowboy's business is a business of silence. 100 miles of fence gives a person time to think, to wonder about who he is, what the world is coming to. Talk to a cowboy long enough and you'll get an opinion on everything. That's because he's had time to think about everything. Yeah, at Wrangler, we know cowboys. Our genes were invented by them. That's why the West is in us. Wrangler, the Western original.
R.C. Slocum and the number 13 rated Aggies of A&M. He is the third winningest active coach in college football as we look at his Southwest Airlines game plan today.
Well, the game plan for the Texas A&M Aggies is relatively simple. They've got to stop the run, and primarily on first down, to keep Baylor from making 4 yards on each first down. That'll force them to throw. No gifts. That means come to the party, but don't bring any gifts from Texas A&M's standpoint. And special teams means exactly that. Great punt returns, great kickoff coverage, vintage Texas A&M. That could be the difference in the game.
The Bears have not beaten the Aggies since 1985. You've waited that long. Might as well see if a change of uniforms brings you better luck. And the all-green jerseys and pants on display today for the Bears, as is their game plan.
Well, a little play on words here. J.J. and Moore. That's Lamont Moore, freshman quarterback that's taken all the snaps this week. Will J.J. be able to play? How much can he play? How good will J.J. Moore do? Second down and 6. That means make 4 yards on first down. And then, of course, something that they've got to do against the Aggies in order to win is create turnovers.
That's today's Southwest Airlines game plan. We'll return to Waco with the opening kickoff after this.
For quick response. For smooth acceleration, turn him loose. For a cleaner engine, turn him loose. Move up to 93 octane Exxon Supreme and turn the Tiger loose.
Why get an inferior foam shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when there's something more advanced than foam? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge. And now there's new soothing Edge Aftershave for sensitive, dry, and normal skin.
You know, all my life I've worked with the best. So when I needed a new truck, I just naturally went to Mack Hike Ford. I met all the folks at Mack Hike Ford. The body shop, the parts department, and the service drive. They got the best Ford team in Texas. And when they explained their price protection guarantee, heck, I knew I was going to get the best price too. You don't have to be Bum Phillips to get the best of Mac Ike Ford. You just have to tell them Bum sent you.
Ready to go at Floyd Casey Stadium. The Baylor Bears kicking to the Texas A&M Aggies to get us underway, and it drifts toward Leland McElroy at the 5. And this redshirt freshman from Beaumont is met at the 23-yard line by the Bears' Justin Still after a return of 18 yards. A&M with the wind and with the ball, with Corey Pullig, again the trigger man, the sophomore from Deer Park, who has been much improved since his worst outing of the year at Oklahoma several weeks ago. Nations Bank's starting offensive unit for the Aggies, featuring Rodney Thomas, who is the 7th leading rusher and the 2nd leading scorer in college football. Up front, Dexter Wesley at 6'4", 289, heading an outstanding offensive line. And out of the eye on first down, the pitch to Rodney Thomas for maybe one, as the Bear defense pursues in a hurry. And the Nations Bank starters for that defense, Charles Horton, who started the first 2 games, then backed up Joseph Asbell, is back in the starting lineup today, a sophomore from Dallas Carter. Also back in the starting lineup after breaking his arm against Fresno State in the opener, linebacker LaCurtis Jones, a sophomore from Waco. Adrian Robinson starts for the injured Andrew Swayze, who is out today with a separated shoulder. 2nd and long, and Cliff throws to fullback, maybe for one. It'll be 3rd and 8.
Baylor in their new green uniforms are playing at a high level of intensity. Each team that they played this year has had a very good first drive on them, Dave, and this will be a key for the Baylor defense to be able to stop the Aggies here.
I want you to explain to me at some point today the psychological influence of changing your uniforms up. It always seems to work, but it's tough to figure out. Passing set on 3rd and long, and Pullig is complete over the middle for what should be a first down. The catch by Tony Harrison, the wide receiver.
That is a first down. Was a good catch by Tony Harrison, but the thing that was really good is that he gave the extra effort with the twist and the turn to get the first down. He didn't have it on first impact. He got it by his effort.
Now, what's the deal with the uniform?
Well, psychologically, it's a change. I know in 1990, the gold pants that Baylor now wears, I surprised the team with gold pants before that game against Nebraska, and it was unbelievable the reaction that the team had.
Throwing on 1st and 10, and incomplete, intended for Harrison. Coverage over there by Raynor Finley.
There was a wide open area, and Pullig put the ball in pretty good. The catch was not made, but there's an area there that Baylor will have to get a little tighter on their coverage.
Now, ever since that disaster at Oklahoma, Pullig has been a different man. They have tried to simplify their attack and allow him to put less pressure on himself. His coaches think that was one of the problems at Oklahoma. Thomas is met hard and driven back by Chris Dull, the middle linebacker.
Well, Baylor's been waiting for Chris Dull to make that kind of play. He's the middle linebacker. He's the guy that has to make the play. He read it and moved on his own. It wasn't a blitz. He just reacted. Watch him as he reads the pull of the guards. Then he slides right behind the guards and makes the tackle with about a 2-yard loss.
Both coaches talked about the importance of getting at least 4 yards on first down. The Aggies threw incomplete on this first down, and as a result, they look at 3rd and 12. Short toss, McElroy, who is dangerous after the catch. As he shows again, Kendrick Bell with the tackle in Baylor territory after 21 yards.
McElroy into the ball game for the first time. Screenplay, they like to use him on this type of offensive formation. Got 2 blockers out in front. He cannot be arm tackled nor hand tackled. Big 3rd down play for the Texas Aggies.
McElroy got more than the usual amount of action for a freshman before the return last week of Greg Hill, as you look at our first check of the Dr. Pepper Roundup today. Rodney Thomas goes to work. And he may have another Aggie first down near the 36-yard line.
Chris Lewis came in to make the stop. Chris is the safety for Baylor, has played better each game, has had interceptions. But here, when he has to make the tackle in the open field, something's not going right up front for the defense, the down linemen and the linebackers. That was a well-executed play, a 10-yard play by Texas A&M.
He is the Bears' leading tackler this year, 55 on the year coming in. And most coaches would prefer not to have their safety lead that category. Just enough for the first. And the Aggies from the Baylor 36.5-yard line after taking the opening kickoff with the wind at their faces in this first quarter. Chuck Reedy, first-year head coach here at Baylor with a record of 4-2 coming in. Losses only to Colorado and the big upset a couple of weeks ago at Houston.
Here's a new formation, Dave, that they've not shown this afternoon. It's a tight slot with a wing.
Straight through the middle, Thomas finds an opening. And he'll probably have another Aggie first down. Finley on the stop. Little different look, as you pointed out, with Greg Short, normally the tight end in the slot that time, but nothing unusual to see Thomas go between the tackles.
Baylor adjusted to it very well, but you see the left tackle pulls across, makes a block at the gash to create the hole, and then when you get Rodney Thomas in the secondary, he's very, very difficult to bring down.
Last week, his first sub-100-yard day of the year. Thomas again, and met much quicker at the 24-yard line by the right side of the Baylor defensive front. Steve Strahan, Scotty Lewis, Adrian Robinson also coming up from strong safety. Converted quarterback, and they really miss Swayze because you were saying yesterday, this is his kind of game.
Well, he's a very physical player. What happened on that play is very typical of what's going to take place this afternoon. The Baylor defensive front did enough on the offensive lineman so that the linebacker could be free to make the stop, and that's the way you got to play this A&M offensive line.
Close in the slot that time, and dropped by Tony Harrison. Incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd and 8. A lot of pressure that time raining down on Pulley led by Charles Horton.
Well, the play's designed so that you let the defensive lineman come through, slip the back underneath behind them, then lob it over or pitch it under. It's sometimes referred to as a shovel pass. It is a forward pass, so if you drop it, it's no fumble. But they like to run that, particularly with a hard-charging offensive line, or defensive line, as Baylor has.
Now, if they have to settle for a field goal here, the wind, as it always seems to be, is a factor with gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Very warm, humid afternoon in Waco. Bullock short on 3rd and 8. Gross will not come close to the first down. Strahan from right tackle followed him out. And Slocum on 4th down will send Terry Venetoulias his fine field goal special again.
That was very solid defensive coverage. The linebackers read their reads, were in perfect position. Now we're going to see that Texas A&M will have to kick a field goal with the wind blowing right into their face.
Just a shade over 40 yards for Venetoulias. And it is wide right, no good. The most accurate kicker in A&M history misses for just the 2nd time in '93.
It's where the Panthers have brought home 3 state titles and where each May brings a new spring festival queen. Yet Abbeville, South Carolina is also a major financial center because it's served by Nations Bank, giving Canfield Dairy the same resources as any national corporation, providing the Thompsons on Turner Street the investments they'd find on Wall Street, and making sure folks don't have to take a back seat to anyone. In Abbeville and 1,900 other communities throughout our nation.
Why Farm Bureau Insurance?
Their rates are competitive and help me get great coverage for my money.
When you have a claim, Farm Bureau service is fair and fast.
Our agent put together a plan to help save for their future.
Helping you is what we do best. That's why people across America, from every walk of life, depend on Farm Bureau Insurance. For auto, home, and life, call your local Farm Bureau today.
So, what are we doing today?
I'd like to go buy some flowers.
Oh, I know a place we can go buy some flowers.
Great. Then maybe the theater to catch something?
Yeah, catch something.
Only Ford Explorer combines the luxury of more space with the ruggedness of four-wheel drive.
And then I thought a nice candlelight dinner.
Yeah, candlelight dinner.
Ford Explorer. The world's just too big to be left unexplored.
A&M drives but does not score on their opening possession. And one quick answer to the biggest question of the week. Yes, J.J. Joe gets the start at quarterback. As the 3-yard line. John Stanley in motion. Option pitch out of the eye. John Henry has about 7 on first down. The Nations Bank starting offensive unit for the Bears. Henry, who had 169 yards in Dallas last week. That's the 5th best game any Bear back has ever had. They had 300-yard rushers. Chuck Pope, who missed last week with back spasms, back at center. He's a senior from Walnut, Kansas. 7-yard pickup on first down. Henry again has the first up to the 34, where he's hit by Eric England, the right defensive end for the Aggies. And their defensive unit will line up with one of the top defensive lines anywhere in college football, led by Sam Adams, their leading sack man, leading tackler. 7 stops for a loss this year. Reggie Graham had the best day his coaches say he has ever had at A&M against Houston last week, 12 tackles. And Aaron Glenn, probably the top cover man in this conference and one of the best anywhere. It is 1st and 10 for Joe, who looks to the right side for Marvin Callis. Coverage over there by Glenn, and it's incomplete. Now, what do you see in terms of J.J.'s arm strength with that first attempt?
Well, it looked okay. I think the thing that looked good to me was that he got no pressure. Fred Miller, the offensive tackle, is a very outstanding offensive lineman and can play the game. Now watch him as he blocks on a very great defensive player. All the way out. That's a tremendous job by a very young offensive lineman.
Joe with a fumbled snap, and flags are down. Joe covered it. And the flags and the whistles may have preceded the snap for Baylor.
Baylor's come into this game, it looks like, with the philosophy of running a stacked I and rotating some players in and out in that I position. That's the individual that...
False start on the offense, still 2nd down.
That's the individual that lines up behind the fullback. He can be any one of 2 or 3 people. Khalif Muhammad is a freshman that has great ability to catch the ball and a great runner, also a good little blocker. Another freshman in there, Sean Washington, is a very, very good blocker and can catch the ball. Those two will be working in and out of the stack eye.
Washington, you haven't seen a whole lot of this year. He's number 48, slot left, and now in motion on 2nd and 15. First man through, Bradford Lewis, the fullback. He had right at 100 yards against SMU last week, averaging 4.5 per carry. Antonio Shorter, the outside linebacker, leading the assault for the Aggies, and it'll be 3rd and 13. A third 100-yard gainer last week we haven't seen yet. That's Randall Jackson, who had right at 100, and as we speak, he checks into the huddle for the first time. This time the Bears have ever had 300-yard rushers in one game. Joe Joe with the shovel pass, but it goes nowhere. The catch by 15, Pierce Pedros, and the Aggies were ready for it, led by Jason Atkinson.
Jason was not to be fooled on that play. He just held his ground, waited. He was probably keying on that particular back, and he was in perfect position to make himself look good and the Aggie defense to look good.
Willie Schuff averaging just over 39 yards per kick. Wind at his back. 7:18 to go in a scoreless first quarter. Glenn,
look out.
About 11 yards on the return by the second leading punt returner in the nation. He averages 19 per return. He has a 76-yard touchdown this year. And a flag is down after the return tackle at the 40-yard line. Flag is down where you might see a late hit. That might be worth their discussing. Nope. Ineligible for Baylor. Lloyd Dale, veteran official, making the call. We'll take a break at Floyd Casey Stadium. 7:10 to play in the first quarter where it's 0-0.
We're a part of the future, the heart and the soul. You're a part of me, that's the heart of me. Without you I'm just a lonely melody, but together we are harmony. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me.
Because most of our flights are short, this is what our meals look like on Southwest Airlines. It's also what our fares look like. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. Southwest Airlines has one of the best on-time records in the country.
Mr. Smith, you're early.
Just something to remember. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart.
17, your order's ready.
Number 6.
It seems as though the creators of value meals have forgotten that value isn't just how much you pay, but how much you get. Well, with Whataburger's new Whata Meals, you get Whataburger quality and value with the genuine Whataburger, Whata Chicken, beef or chicken fajita, or grilled chicken sandwich, each served with hot fries and a cold drink, making all other value meals seem of very little value. Whataburger Whata Meals at participating restaurants. Breakfast Whata Meals also available.
Call is unsportsmanlike conduct, non-contact foul against Baylor, and a big break for the Aggie offense as they open 1st and 10 from the Bear 45-yard line. Penalty occurred after the 11-yard punt return by Aaron Glenn. The backfield of Leland McElroy and Detron Smith in the eye behind Fuller. Quick toss, that is McElroy, and he's dragged out after a very short gain by Adrian Robinson.
Trying to get the ball out on the perimeter to Leland McElroy. The outside receiver had a man on him tight, otherwise he would have blocked inside. McElroy shifts outside. So Baylor had to play very well defensed.
I see Slocum now getting Greg Hill in for his first action. Got in late last week, but he made the most of it. 20 carries, 128 yards at Houston for him. His first carry. And he slips just as he's ready to make his cut upfield. That'll give him maybe 2 on the game. Aggies again with a passing situation. 3rd and long. There's the numbers for Hill. Fastest man in conference history ever to a 2,000-yard mark. He had 1,216 as a freshman, 1,339 last year as a sophomore, and sat out 5 games for his NCAA suspension.
Curtis Jones made that tackle in. He's been out, Dave, for about 4 or 5 weeks with a broken arm, and he could be a big difference in this game. He's got great speed.
Fuller with time, and it is complete to Greg Shorp, who makes the nice reaching catch inside the Bear 30, first down.
This is a very simple read by the quarterback. He's not looking at a lot of people. He's looking at his tight end. The tight end will come off the line of scrimmage, look for the linebacker, and try to maneuver away from the linebacker. He'll be in the right-hand screen, just at the top, and see the linebacker is back there with him, but the quarterback reads it and throws it on cue.
Short showing his excellent hands. Smith ran into Pulig, and luckily for the Aggies, there's no problem on the connection, but there also is no gain.
Chris Dull makes another play inside. This looks to be Chris Dull's maybe best game. He's been starting all year, but the coaches have wanted him to really try to move up to a higher level, and when you're going against the kind of running backs he has this afternoon, he'd better be at a higher level.
Not much choice. Second leading tackler for Baylor, just one behind the safety Lewis coming in. Play fake went to Hill. Pulig overthrows Short with Jones on the single coverage, and it'll be 3rd and 10.
The offensive line gave good protection. There was nothing wrong with that. Pulig just threw the ball in between two receivers. I think he was throwing for the short receiver, but the long receiver, doing an out route on about the 10-yard line, was wide open.
How simplified is their passing attack now?
Extremely simplified. He is looking at his receivers almost all the way. Most of it is a read. They'll key off of a defensive linebacker or a defensive back.
Just under 5 minutes to go, first quarter. The inside toss and a lot of room for Tony Harrison, and it's 1st and goal, A&M.
Kendrick Bell saved the touchdown, but that's a first down inside the 10-yard line.
21 yards as Harrison slips into the middle of your picture here.
Secondary is getting a good drop. They're in a zone coverage. It's a screen pass all the way. You can block downfield in front of a screen pass, and that's what you saw the lineman doing.
And the Aggies with their Lion offense. That's when they get Thomas and Hill on the field together. And it is Thomas for no gain.
Steve Strahan played the offensive lineman very well, came off the block, made a big tackle right in the hole.
Good solid junior season for Strahan. Leads the defensive line in stops. All-stater from Aldi. Second and they'll call it 9 needed. Goal to goal. 3:52 first quarter. Nothing game, but the Aggies with a severe threat for the first time. Greg Hill will waltz and score the first Aggie touchdown. That looked like it was going to be an easier score than it turned into, and you can credit Chris Lewis for closing fast on Hill near the corner. Hill had a stretch to get in, and Atulius is on to try and make it 7-0 Aggies.
Matthews is the right tackle. Strictly a read screen all the way with the offensive line pulling outside. Collins gets in front of the runner and knocks a hole in the end zone. Now you can see both the right tackle and the right guard. Flip, knock down, number 91, put him on the ground. That's a legal block. And now Hill into the end zone.
Who are the best players in the Southwest Conference? Vote your favorite players on to the Exxon Supreme Team. And for every ballot cast at Exxon, Exxon will contribute 5 cents to the Southwest Conference Scholarship Fund.
Exxon Supreme Team. Exxon. Rely on the Tiger.
There's a hot new game spreading across Texas. Texas Hot Cash from the Texas Lottery. Anybody, the fire extinguisher over here. Match $3 amounts. And you can win up to $2,500. It's on the camera. Get the fire Texas Hot Cash. Cover up the camera. Quick, cover the camera. When we say hot, we mean it. Hot.
At La Quinta Inns, our most frequent guests are traveling salesmen. So we asked a few how they'd sell La Quinta.
You look like a person on the go, am I right? You're a VIP kind of guy, am I right? You don't have time for some fancy-smancy breakfast, am I right? At La Quinta, they've customized a free continental breakfast for busy guys like yourself. In fact, this blueberry muffin was baked with you in mind.
La Quinta, you're not staying at a hotel, you're staying with us.
Reveille has made the 90-mile drive over from College Station. Barry Venetoulias, who is now 24 for 24 on PATs this year. And that Sterling Wynn now actually appears to be at his back. This wobbler goes past Randell Jackson. And the Bears will take it after the touchback from their 20-yard line. Scoring drive, 8 plays, 45 yards, and the key was the 21-yard short toss that Tony Harrison turned into a big play on 3rd down and long to keep the drive alive. This telecast, a copyrighted presentation of Texas A&M University, Baylor University, the Southwest Conference, and Raycom Incorporated. And it is intended solely for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the video or audio portions of this program without prior written consent is forbidden. On 1st and 10, Robert Strait handles it for the first time, and he gets 2 or 3.
You know, I agree with you that there were 2 or 3 big plays in that drive, but one of the most important, Dave, was the penalty that set them up with 1st down on the 45-yard line of Baylor. Second was that they made 2 3rd down situations, 1 8-yard and 1 10-yard. Big play.
Yeah, the penalty allowed them to start 1st down and 10 from the Baylor 45-yard line. And a 15-yard unsportsmanlike call. Ball is loose. And they may Joe to have been down prior to the recovery by A&M. That is the call by Lloyd Dale, and it's still Baylor ball.
Big sigh of relief on the Baylor sideline. That's tremendous field position for a defensive team to get the ball. But he is coming out on the option. He's down. Clearly, the ball bounces out. It definitely was not a fumble. Good call by the official.
Fumble's a problem in this game last year for the Bears. 8 of which they lost just 1, but 2 of them on the Aggie 1. They lost that 1913, and 3 times inside the A&M 2. They were held scoreless, 2 on fumbles and 1 where the time ran out before they could get a field goal. Joe, open, Callis, and a 1st down to the 41-yard line.
Well, I think that may have answered some questions about J.J.'s arm. That was a good 20-yard pass from where he threw the ball, so I think his arm looks okay. Good protection from the offensive line. It's a very simple route, just an out route, and those are usually the best.
Callis, one of 3 Bear receivers, averaging at least 22 yards per catch. They don't throw often. They do get the most out of it when they do throw. And a big gainer for John Henry, who carries Aggies all the way to the 37-yard line.
Number 6, John Henry.
21 yards for the senior from Lorena.
John Henry has unusual strength. He's not very tall, but his leg strength, and watch the way he uses his shoulders, the lean of his body, drops that shoulder, and drives those legs. He's got excellent power for a back that's not real big.
Former fullback, and now sharing tailback duties this year with Randell Jackson. Stack eye for the Bears. Joe off the play fake, hangs it up deep to Ben Bronson. Touchdown, Baylor.
JJ Joe's pass complete. Number 2, Ben Bronson for the Baylor touchdown.
Well, that officially answers whatever questions there may have been about J.J. Joe's arm.
Well, I can say resting all week didn't seem to be too bad for J.J. His timing looks good, and that was a very well executed option play fake and a seam route, and well executed.
The extra point by Jarvis Van Dyke ties the game at 7. Bronson has caught 6 balls this year, 3 for score.
The key to that fake is that he goes past the fullback. That gives the defensive secondary the illusion that they're coming outside with the football. That creates the opportunity for the seam route. He drops back, he's looking all the way. He's got one receiver and one receiver only. Bronson on the seam route.
The biggest fear of any defense against J.J. Joe in this attack is that very play. Wouldn't you agree? Because you got to be so wary of the option keeper that your secondary can tend to creep up. Next thing you know, Bronson's behind him.
J.J. poses 2 threats. He's an adequate runner, not a great runner, but he can get on the perimeter with the ball and make the cut if you don't have a man on him. Then by carrying his fakes out, he's very, very outstanding at faking. By carrying the fakes out, he creates something in the secondary that allows those people to be open. And it goes right back to the type of play and really the way J.J. Joe executes it.
R.C. Slocum with a conversation with Aaron Glenn over there, discussing how to prevent a repeat performance. But as you saw, 16.6 per completion. That is far from unusual to see that ball get wide open in the Bear passing scheme. So 7-7, 1:41 to go in the first quarter. Whoever wins is in the clear driver's seat for the Cotton Bowl, where the Aggies will try to return for the 3rd consecutive year. And a good kick return off a deep kick by Ty Atterbury. 28 yards for Billy Mitchell. Justin Still with the hit. There's the standings coming into play this week. Only 2 unbeaten teams in conference play. Texas with only the 1 win over Rice. And there are 3 teams with 4 wins on the year. You're seeing 2 of them, and the other is Rice, which takes on Texas Tech tonight.
First and 10, Texas A&M, number 27.
So the Aggies try to regroup after the stunner between Joe and Bronson. First and 10, their 27-yard line. Here throws from Rodney Thomas. He takes it straight up the middle and bangs near the 35. He calls himself a violent runner. That's what he's talking about. He seeks out contact.
Kendrick Bell from the cornerback spot comes in and helps Chris Dull on that tackle. Bell's probably the best tackler of the cornerbacks. He's also very aggressive. He's a former running back that was changed over to defensive back this year.
And good results. He's their 3rd leading tackler. That's unusual for a cornerback. He wasn't bad as a tailback, 6.5 yards per carry last year. In spring ball, 7.2 per carry his first 2 years. Thomas hit hard as he crosses the 40 by Raynor Finley. He'll have the A&M first down.
Dave, I like this Rodney Thomas. I think he's one of the better backs that I've seen in the league in a lot of years. He's solid. He's sound. He's a tremendous young man. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and I tell you, he just represents everything you would want to see in a college athlete, and particularly a running back. I think he's got a good chance for the Doak Walker Award this year.
He's got a good start going today. Started the year with 201 yards against LSU. The other side, and less success there. Scotty Lewis turned it back inside, and it'll be second and still about 10. Lewis, who had his best game of the year at SMU, 3 sacks. He has now a season total of 5 sacks, and that equals the rest of the team combined.
Scotty's got long arms and really good legs. He has good speed, so it helps him on a situation like that where the back's cut.
End of the first quarter, 7-7 at Floyd Casey Stadium.
Hi, I'm Skip Skinner with Mac Ike Subaru. They say that when you're the best, you get to be the leader. Maybe that's why Mac Ike is the #1 Subaru dealer in Texas, the leader in customer satisfaction and low prices.
Like this exciting new Impreza with air conditioning, power windows, locks and mirrors, driver's airbag and more. Just $10,995 or lease for only $159 a month.
And still no charge for that great Mac Ike fee.
Hi, welcome to the Ranch.
The Post Oak Ranch, that is. Houston's unique upscale country and western nightclub located in the heart of the Galleria area. There's always something going on at the ranch. Happy hour buffet, dancing to the hottest country and top 40 hits. Ladies night, Tuesdays and Thursdays, featuring free valet parking and drink specials to all unescorted ladies. From diamonds to denim, Rolexes to ropers. The Post Oak Ranch. It's the place to be. Feeder Road at 610 in San Felipe.
It's a big place, America. But we've all gotten pretty good at getting around in it. So when you're the Bank of America, you put yourself in the right spot so you can be there when people arrive. Banking on America. Bank of America.
You know, all my life I've worked with the best. So when I needed a new truck, I just naturally went to Mac Ike Ford. I met all the folks at Mac Ike Ford, the body shop, the parts department, and the service drive. They got the best Ford team in Texas. And when they explained their price protection guarantee, heck, I knew I was going to get the best price too. You don't have to be Bum Phillips to get the best of Mac Ike Ford. You just have to tell them Bum sent you.
Biggest crowd of the year on hand here in Waco. We're at 7-7 on Raycom and Prime Network. Dave Barnett along with Grant Tapp, where we talked about the running attacks, because that's what got these two teams here, but the passing attacks had the biggest plays in the first quarter. J.J. Joe looks fine.
Both teams came out and they've used play-action passes, screens, short runs, and both have moved the ball very well.
2nd and 9, into the air goes Pulig. It is intercepted with the flag down, and it may come back. Kendrick Bell may be flagged here for interfering with Tony Harrison. He timed his hit. It looked like just a shade late. That's what caused Harrison to cough it up and Bell to get the interception, but Lloyd Dale will tell us whether it stands or not, and it won't. And let's see if it's a correct call.
Pass interference, defense, first down, and stop the foul.
Well, you could see his arms reaching up from behind Harrison.
I believe they ruled contact by the defensive player on the offensive player. You could see his arms come around in front. You can go for the ball, but you cannot make contact with the receiver's body. I think that's what they ruled. Looked like a good call.
Baylor normally not bothered too much by penalties, but they have been so far today. 1st and 10, they're 48. And Pulig on play action, perfectly thrown to Harrison, knocked out by Adrian Robinson shy of the first down. Leading receiver for the Aggies coming in. And he, today, based on the good start, could pass Shea Walker for first on their all-time receiving yards list. Needed 106.
Pulig threw that ball about as well as I've seen him throw this year. It was a very well thrown ball right on the rope.
Picked up 6 yards. 2nd and 4. Thomas with a flag down just as he reaches the first down marker. It'll be close. Lewis up with a hit from the secondary. A&M came in 12th in the country on the ground, one behind Baylor, which was number 11, and it's holding A&M.
When the umpire starts talking to the referee, you got a pretty good idea that there's some offensive holding going on inside, and that's just what took place. The umpire threw the flag.
Holding by the offense. Repeat, second down.
Flag the Aggies.
Aggies are going for their 18th consecutive conference victory. They have right now the third longest winning streak in conference play ever. And they're trying to become the first team ever to sweep the SWC in 3 consecutive years. So 2nd and 13. And it is broken up by Bell with the pass intended for the wide receiver, number 81, Ryan Matthews. So A&M again looking at 3rd and long, and they have made a pretty good living at 3rd and long in this first half.
Their first drive for a touchdown, the 3rd downs were the keys for Texas A&M. Big plays and kept the drive alive. You know, you mentioned what this Aggie team has accomplished since R.C. Slocum took over. They have been close to extraordinary in everything that they've done. He's a tremendous coach.
Pulig, chase. Flag is down, and Pulig is down. At the Baylor 45-yard line, chased there by Charles Horton. The flag was thrown back in the pocket, and it is again holding Aggies. But since that occurred on 3rd down, you'd expect the Bears to decline and make the Aggies punt.
When Pulig stepped out of the pocket.
Holding by the offense. Decline. 4th down.
The referee caught the offensive guard holding the defensive end. Real simple.
Pulig to the sideline, and James Bennett, a junior from Boston, will kick into, well, now the wind is back behind him. I tell you what, it is really swirling today. Hard to tell who it's favored in this first half. Bennett angling toward the near corner, and he just about hit it perfectly. It goes 45 yards for the Baylor touchback. R.C. Slocum, 3rd winningest active coach behind Tom Osborne and John Robinson. And since 1985, these are the 2 best teams in Southwest Conference play. That also was the last year that Baylor defeated the Aggies, but they've come close a bunch since then, including last year, 1913 A&M. And there was a tie in College Station in 1990. And a very close call in 86, and that game decided whether the Bears or the Aggies would go to the Cotton Bowl. It was 31-30 Aggies, and they win. Stack high, first down give for about 5 yards.
It's a counter play out of the stack eye. Khalif Muhammad, he's got the ability to run, but what you see in this play is a flow toward the formation and then a counter handback. And on option games, you don't have much counter plays. You have to run reverse. This will be seen a lot today. He picked up 4 or 5 yards.
Joe keeping, and is hit hard for really the first time today, right at the marker, and it looks like he has the first down. But Junior White, the free safety, is the man who came up and popped it. The right shoulder got hit by the Houston Cougars a couple of weeks ago as Joe was reaching with the ball and trying to stretch to hit the corner of the end zone. And the Cougars came down on that shoulder. That bruised it. He didn't throw any more the rest of that day. They lost 24-3. Didn't throw at all last week. That's the first time in college football that a team has not attempted a pass since 1986. When Oklahoma didn't throw against Colorado. First time in this conference since '74. Flag is down. The pitch goes to Jackson. Jackson runs into White as he nears the first down marker.
Baylor changed offensive formations. They've used about 4 or 5 in the first quarter and into the second quarter. They're trying to see in this first half the adjustments that A&M will make, and if they make a poor adjustment, you'll see them attack it immediately. And here we saw a play on the perimeter, which is very, very important for an option team.
Aggies lined up offsides.
Offside. Defense. Decline. First down.
Three backs with 100 or better at Omby Stadium. First time in Baylor history that has ever happened. Led by Henry, who had their 5th best day in school history, and collectively it was the best ground game in school history with 482 yards. They also set a conference record with 91 total rushes. Hit for a loss. Jackson brought down by Eric England and friends.
Simply a missed block on the interior. The offensive set gave them a chance on the perimeter. They're bringing motion. Handoff on straight lead play inside with the fullback blocking, but a backside missed block allowed Eric to run free and make the tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Tackle for a loss of 2. England showing his great first step.
Khalif Muhammad is in at the I-back.
And he takes it, heads toward the middle, and gouges out about 6 or 7.
That was an excellent shot of the counter play, how it sets up with flow to one side of the field and hand back counter to the backside. This guy can hit it inside or outside, so it makes it a very solid, sound play.
He's a big part of this highly touted Baylor freshman class, Alif Elsick, where as a senior he rushed for over 2,100 yards. Named as the Houston Offensive Player of the Year. 50 touchdowns his junior and senior years combined at Elsick. And Joe wants timeout. With 11 and a half minutes in the first half, here in Waco, 7-7.
The brand. In the West, it's the way a man marks what's his. We're the beef people, and our WD brand is on every steak we sell. It means our U.S. choice beef has been specially aged and trimmed to ensure more flavor, more tender, juicy beef. WD brand, the mark of quality from Winn-Dixie, the beef people.
It's a cold cruise like country Saturday night, and the cattle are in the corral. I got a shine on my ropers, got a grease in my jeans, got a date with a beautiful gal. We're heading to town to that old honky-tonk for some good country music and cheer. Cause there ain't nothing better any day of the week than two-stepping in a cold Coors Light beer.
It's where the careers of naval officers are launched, and where pleasure boaters come to cast away from it all. But Annapolis, Maryland is also a major financial center because it's served by Nations Bank, which enables coastal properties to call on a depth of experience in financing, offers the overstreets everything from equity loans to mutual funds, and gives people a bank that puts greater financial power at their command. In Annapolis and in 1,900 other communities throughout our nation.
Getting hot on that turf. Game time temperature was in the high 70s, but it has crept upward, and the humidity is also around where the temperature is.
Well, the thing about that type of turf is about 20 degrees warmer than it is on the normal thermometer.
On third and a long 5, Muhammad in motion out of the stack. Blitz comes, it's picked up well, and the catch is shy of the first down. Muhammad brought down at the 49 of Baylor. He needed to get to the Aggie 49, and the open field tackle applied by Aaron Glenn prevents the Baylor first down.
That's the first blitz by the Aggies this afternoon. They normally will not blitz a option team that much because of down blocking from the outside, the tackles and the guards, and you get caught inside in a blitz and they'll break a long one on you. But when you get to 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6, they can come with a blitz.
Well, look at this. The entire huddle came to the sideline and they come right back out there. 5 seconds on the snap clock as the Bears go for it if they get it off in time. Or they just tried to draw the Aggies off sides, and it did not work. The Aggies stayed home. That's the part of the field, though, where a 5-yard penalty may actually help your punter.
Yeah, that's a no-lose situation if the Aggies jump off sides, which more than likely a team as well-trained and well-coached as Aggies or Baylor, they'll not do that. But it's a good gamble. Go out and see if they jump off. If they do, fine. If not, you take the penalty and go ahead and kick. You got the wind slightly in your face.
Aaron Glenn at his 13-yard line. And Shep driving this one into the A&M end zone. A 56-yard boot, 6 shy of his best kick of the year. Our Southwest Airlines storyline pulled it 8 for 12, 83 yards, and a score to Greg Hill. On 3rd down, they have averaged needing 9, but gaining 13. That's been the key offensively for them in the first half. J.J. Joe with a 38-yard scoring pass to Ben Bronson. And Baylor with an outstanding 5.5-yard average per carry.
That's very good against Texas A&M's defense. Not many people can average that.
Brian Mitchell is in the game and in motion. Greg Hill. The key there was to play at the left defensive end, Darrell Gardner, who made Hill take a wider swath toward the sideline than he wanted to. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the Raycom Network.
Philip Kent made the play, got off of a block of an offensive lineman, used good parallel movement and made a stop for a 2-yard gain.
Detron Smith in at fullback. Play fake to Hill. And the pass is caught for an A&M first down by Brian Mitchell at the 35-yard line for 13 yards.
Well, it's pass complete to number 18, Brian Mitchell.
Well, the first thing you look for is what kind of protection, and it's very, very solid. Ball thrown very well, just where you want it to be, steps right out of bounds. A little bit quicker getting the ball to the receiver, and he could have turned upfield, but it's a big, nice game.
3 wideouts. And the eye on 1st and 10. Hill is really popped by Horton. He picked up about 3rd and 3 or 4 yards, and then you were able to hear that hit all the way up here. Also, LaCurtis Jones over to help out.
I wonder if they had a conversation about their old high school. Both of those young men are from Carter High School in Dallas, Texas, and both have a great deal of respect for each other.
A lot of Carter influence over the years in this rivalry. R.C. Slocum said he'd never seen a guy grin after getting hit hard until Greg Hill did so last week, and the grin, of course, was because it was his first game after the long suspension. He is glad to be back. Horton again tripping him up. He struggled forward for an extra couple, but it'll be 3rd and at least 3 for A&M. A lot of those yards last week for Hill came in the 4th quarter. And you made the remark the game had been put away. Some people may have wondered why Greg Hill was still in, but it was obvious that for a guy who's missed the first part of the season, you want to get him as many reps as you can and get him in shape for the second half.
Conditioning in a season is enhanced greatly by your play in an actual ball game.
They need 4 on third down. Pulick deep, intercepted by Chris Lewis, his third of the year. The Bears had one previous interception call back. This one stands.
Pulick threw that ball with both feet off the ground, and you lose velocity when you do that. And the ball hung, and you get the interception.
The intended receiver was Leland McElroy. The Bears take over in a 7-7 game at their 38.
At La Quinta Inns, our most frequent guests are traveling salesmen. So we asked a few how they'd sell La Quinta.
I want to give you the key to this room, because I know you're a smart guy. Sure, you could find a cheap hotel with rooms the size of a shoebox, or some luxury palace with the chandeliers in the bathrooms. How about a hotel that treats you as well as you treat your clients? And easy on the wallet. Take this key. You owe it to yourself.
La Quinta. You're not staying at a hotel. You're staying with us. Diet Dr. Pepper, the taste you've been looking for. The Lincoln Mark 8's revolutionary suspension automatically lowers the car at high speeds for better handling and less wind resistance, which raises the bar for everyone else. The Lincoln Mark 8. Drive everything else first.
Today's game is brought to you in part by the Texas Lottery. And tonight's Lotto Texas estimated jackpot is $17 million. You rarely see a winning team that doesn't have a good takeaway giveaway ratio, and the Bears have one of the best in college football this year at +8.
That's the reason they've been able to come from behind, is they've made people turn the ball over and given themselves extra opportunities.
Out of the stack I, they give to the first man through for a couple of yards. That's Robert Strait. The interception by Pulick, his 8th of the year against 7 touchdowns, but he has cut down his turnovers. Over his previous 3 games, he tossed just 2 interceptions. And that's why they've been able to recover. One of the reasons, as well as they did after the loss at Oklahoma. Muhammad breaks out of the step and takes the toss from Joe. He has Mickens out there one-on-one. He broke his tackle. Junior White knocked him out a yard short of the marker. Here's a look at third down.
Motion out of the backfield. Isolation on one man. He comes out of the backfield. They have to send a cornerback to go out with him. Throw it out to him quick, get one-on-one, and he's a very gifted, elusive type runner.
Looking to next year, they lose Strait, Lewis, and Henry, but they bring back Muhammad and Jackson. So the cupboard at running back will, as usual, be far from empty at Baylor. Robert Strait has the first down at midfield. When he wants at least a yard, it's just about impossible to keep him from it, isn't it?
He's what is referred to as a load. He'll play about 240, and he's got excellent speed and great drive in his legs. He's developed into a very good fullback and a very fine role player for the Baylor team.
Golden Wave Band, which we'll enjoy at halftime. 7:08 in the second quarter. 7-7. Muhammad. That looked to be a much bigger game than it turned into And the man who deserves the credit for that, Antonio Shorter, the outside linebacker who made Muhammad stay inside where Shorter could get some help.
There was a good convergence by the Aggie secondary after he broke through the first gap. Good block at the left tackle position. Tight end did a good job, but there's not a lot there, although it was 3 yards.
A little better. They'll give it second down and 6. Flags are down. Joe will keep. J.J. Joe tripped by his own man inside the 30. John Stanley will get the unofficial credit for that tackle after 21 yards if the penalty is against the Aggies.
Offside! Defense declines! First down.
So the play stands, but the play could have gone for 6.
Watch Khalif, the I-back, the first block inside. Now, that is some kind of a block for a smaller type running back. But he opens the way for J.J. Joe to turn upfield, and actually J.J. trips over his own man.
And John Stanley hopped up, and he knew exactly what had happened. That could have gone even bigger. Flags down again as Khalif Muhammad through the middle picks up 2 or 3. Jason Atkinson on the tackle.
They're just running those 2 plays, the counter play with Khalif Muhammad. They're running the option then with Khalif Muhammad as a blocker, and they're just switching back and forth from those 2 plays.
Now the Aggies have this consistent problem now lining up off sides. There's no excuse for that, is there?
Well, not really. You should be able to line up on sides, and evidently the offensive lineman for Baylor, whoever is lining up for Texas A&M off sides, may be back 3 or 4 inches more than that guy's used to lining up on.
Defense, repeat first down.
Really about the only bone that Slocum had to pick with their win last week was penalties. And they're a factor again this week. They gave them inadvertently a couple of extra yards on that 5-yard mark-off. Baylor, of course, only too happy to take it, but the officials discovered their error in time. Here's some notes from around the Southwest Conference on our Ford updates. We'll begin with the Houston Cougars, who, unfortunately for them, lose one of the top backs in America, Lamar Smith. He separated his shoulder last week. Rice has scored very consistently in 5 of their last 10 games. And on 1st and 5, John Henry checks back in and has a Baylor first down near the 15. Antonio Shorter on the tackle.
By the utilization of Khalif Muhammad in motion, that creates some concern in the Aggie secondary. They have to decide who's going to go out with him, and in so doing, now Baylor came back away from the motion and ran just the old power lead play, handing off to the tailback.
5:25 and a half. Bears trying to drive for the lead. Robert Strait drives inside the 10-yard line. Another nice piece of real estate on first down. A key that Chuck Reedy talked about yesterday. He said whatever team looks at the fewest yards needed on second down is going to control this game. And when the Bears get inside the 20, they almost never fail. That was what was so unusual about the loss at Houston. They were turned away and only scored 1 field goal.
The Baylor offensive line is coming off the ball very well against the Aggie defense.
First man again, and he's stacked up at the 8.
Number 20, Robert Strait.
But you have some big, experienced people in that Baylor offensive line. They've been there before. So is the Aggie defense. So you've got 2 of the better football teams lined up against each other with a running mentality. And so there's going to be some clashes on that line of scrimmage.
That's the 4th-rated defense in college football, a number 2-rated pass defense in the nation behind only Alabama. Familiar territory for Slocum's Aggies. John Henry, I don't think has first and goal. He got driven backwards by Steve Solari. He needed to get just an inch or two inside the 5-yard line, and he only reached the 6.
Junior White came in then, number 5, and helped put a stop right there on the line of scrimmage. Number 5 really made the difference. Laurie stopped him. White turned him around.
Jarvis Van Dyke is just 2 of 6 this year, but this is an easy 24-yarder, which he nails. And Baylor takes its first lead with 3:32 in the first half, 10-7 Bears.
If you're having trouble spotting the state bird of Texas, just look for an unusually large wingspan and very distinctive coloring. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. Texas is such a big state that to really succeed in business, you'd have to give every business person a company plane. So that's what we did. Southwest Airlines. It's like having your own company plane. Imagine the smooth acceleration, the quick response, the high performance of 93-octane Exxon Supreme gasoline. Move up to Exxon Supreme and turn the tiger loose.
Your order's ready.
It seems as though the creators of value meals have forgotten that value isn't just how much you pay, but how much you get. Well, with Whataburger's new Whata Meals, you get Whataburger quality and value with the genuine Whataburger, Whata Chicken, beef or chicken fajita, or grilled chicken sandwich, each served with hot fries and a cold drink, making all other value meals seem of very little value. Whataburger Whata Meals at participating restaurants. Breakfast Whata Meals also available.
Baylor's 24-yard field goal to put them up 10-7. Just the third time all year anyone has led Texas A&M. Scoring drive of 55 yards, helped by the repeated offsides problems by the Aggie defense. And just the third field goal of the year for Van Dyke.
How many 12 quarters since Texas A&M defense had allowed a offensive touchdown, I believe, was 12 quarters.
That was close to the longest such streak in the modern era of A&M football. McElroy from the 5. Leila McElroy. And one more tackle to break to turn that one into a possible touchdown. As it is, he goes 37 yards. George McCullough wrapped him up for the Bears, and the Aggies, who have 3:24 to work with, start in good shape from their 42-yard line. More updates. SMU needing 48 rushing yards to surpass their total from all of last year. Much improved ground attack for Tom Rossley. TCU's Kevin Kordsman, 9 straight field goals. They take on Tulane today, and Texas Tech's Bam Morris back up to number 4 in the nation in rushing. On 1st and 10.
Give it to number 20, Rodney Thomas.
Rodney Thomas for maybe 2.
Not anything in there. Defensive linemen getting off the blocks very well, using their hands to keep the offensive linemen from moving them off the line of scrimmage. It's a technique that's taught, and Baylor's using it very well.
Yeah, the last offensive touchdown the Aggies gave up was in the 4th quarter against Oklahoma. The most recent streak, 1978, they had 14 straight quarters. On the money and complete for the first down to Brian Mitchell, who makes his second catch of the day. 12 yards.
Well, this sounds like a worn-out record, but when you have that kind of pass protection, you're going to have the opportunity to throw the ball down the field and make completions. Really no rush whatsoever from the defensive line. Pulling throws the ball very well on the spot. That was a well-executed play.
2:44 in the half. Play action under pressure. He just got it off in time, and the catch is made at the 38 by Ryan Matthews. Bullock didn't have another tenth of a second to spare. Daryl Gardner coming right down on his back.
Well, that was the kind of pressure that you're going to have to put on Pulley if he's going to drop back and throw the football. Adrian Robinson, who is a freshman, made a good play getting over to the ball, making the stop.
Second and 5, clock rolling near 2 minutes. Rodney Thomas with the bounce outside is tripped up, and he'll lose a couple. LaCurtis Jones along with Lewis and Gardner.
LaCurtis has made a significant contribution to the defense today. This is his first time really back since he broke his arm early in the year. He's got speed. He's not very big, about 195 pounds, but he really flies the ball, and he's one of those heady hitters.
So that cast he's still wearing isn't bothering him much. A&M with a lot of success on third down all day. They slip Gross out of the backfield. He's very close for the first down.
I don't believe he made the first, but it's obvious that they will go for it here. They have the wind at their back unless RC with 112 wants to try to take the field goal.
A&M, in fact, calling their first time out with 107 and a half. They'll need a couple of feet if they go for it on fourth down. Coming up at halftime, we visit with legend Dave Campbell of Texas Football Magazine, and he'll talk about what he is doing with a newsletter for Baylor football. Also, our Texas lottery highlights, the Fightin' Aggie and Bear bands, and Exxon will make a donation to the Southwest Conference Scholarship Fund. We'll have that at halftime as well. Aggies always turn out in Waco.
Texas A&M coaching staff has talked about, maybe are talking about, whether to kick the field goal or go for the first down here. Try to maintain possession with 1:07 to go in the half. Score Baylor 10, Texas A&M 7. This is one of those critical plays that you look back after a game, and the decisions it's made will have a real strong bearing on the outcome. But R.C. Slocum and his staff have been here before. They've been down that road. They know what to do in critical situations, and you can count on them making what they believe will be the best decision.
And that decision is to go for it on fourth and less than 1. And it is Gross, and it's an Aggie first down at the 32. It looked for a long time with the length of that snap count by Pulley as if they might do what Baylor tried to do earlier and just draw the defense off sides.
Well, that's a very smart coaching maneuver to go ahead and go on a long count. And one of the last things that R.C. told the team before they went back on the field, remember, it's a long count. It's a long count. He didn't want his team jumping off sides because you're anxious for the first down.
Under a minute and a half. Open is Harrison. The ankle tackle applied by George McCullough. True freshman from Galveston Ball, getting a lot of first half activity.
Now that was audibleized at the line of scrimmage. They're going with a no huddle, so Corey will be calling the plays at the line of scrimmage.
A&M still with 2 timeouts, 35 seconds in the half. And the catch for the first down at the 18 by Short. Tackled by Chris Dole. They will stop the clock at 31 seconds to move the chains. Well, it is so far an expertly executed closing drive of the half by Pulley.
As soon as the clock starts, he'll have the play ready to go.
And he is sacked by Lewis. His 6th of the year. 4th in the last 2 weeks. 19 seconds on the clock as the Aggies spend their second timeout.
There was good coverage in the Baylor secondary. He pauses here when he pulls the ball down. Lewis is able to come in and make the sack.
Well, 19 seconds, one more timeout left, 24-yard line. That's time for surely 2, maybe 3 snaps, even if you have to settle for the kick, isn't it?
Yep. No doubt about it. They will probably try to put 1 or 2 into the end zone, and could be coming with a screen at this time. That's a good play under these circumstances. You know Baylor's going to rush hard. The only thing you got to do is have somebody ready to call that timeout. You don't want the clock to run out with the ball on the field.
Kind of reminiscent in reverse of the end of the first half in this game last year. Shoes on the other foot.
Yeah, that's right. Team driving down to try to get either a touchdown or a field goal.
How sweet that would be if the Bears can hold off the Aggies from a late first half score this year. 2nd and 16. Thomas gets away from Jones, guided out by Lewis. He's got the 14-yard line with 11 seconds to go, a gain of 11.
Well, that's a good call. Throw the screen, got a chance to get it to the sideline, step out of bounds right before your tackle, kill the clock.
So bring up 3rd down and a short 6.
This ball will go to the end zone, I'm almost positive. Be a quick pass. Don't get it intercepted is the key.
And don't get sacked. He got it off. It's juggled and caught. Gross right at the marker for the 1st and goal with 4 seconds in the half. Hit at the 9-yard line by Philip Kent. And on will come Venetoulias. But a tremendous job by Pulig to orchestrate that last drive.
It was well executed, and I think, of course, Coach Toledo made some very strong, very solid calls in moving the team down. It's good football. That's 2 good football teams out there. Score 10-7. Baylor leading right now. That's what this game's all about. It's good, solid, sound football played at a high level of intensity.
This kick will be 26 yards. Right now taking what really is a moot measurement, whether it's 3rd down or 1st down with 4 seconds to go. Barring a fake, of course, it looks like the Aggies will kick and settle for the tie at halftime. And the angle will be a sharp one to the left. The wind is swirling again, and now it looks like it's at the back of Venetoulias. Kind of gone both ways in this first half.
Remember, Dave, as we saw last week, that 2 yards extra inside on a short kick makes a lot of difference.
He would have missed one that he made last week if the hash marks hadn't been moved in this year. That was the opposite angle from this, though. 5 of 7 for the year. A career 72% field goal mark for Terry Venetoulias. And this one out of the hold of Stormy Case is good as time runs out in the first half. Our score at halftime at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco. The Aggies 10, the Bears 10. The Exxon Game of the Week is brought to you by the 1993 Exxon Southwest Conference Supreme Team, the all-conference team that will be determined by you, the fan. By Southwest Airlines. By Winn-Dixie.
I think I said I was coming back.
By Ford.
Right.
By Texas Farm Bureau. And by Wrangler, the Western Original.
Way back in 1947, cowboys designed Wrangler cowboy cut jeans to be comfortable in the saddle. Or out of it. Wrangler, the Western Original.
You realize you're one of 100 applying for this job?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good, let's get to the terms.
Generous salary. Club membership. Car, wait, this isn't a Mercury Sable.
It happens to be the very latest.
Latest to imitate the Sable.
Is that so?
Bottom line, no Sable, no deal.
Fine. Then I suggest,
Gordon, you see about getting my new executive vice president here a Sable.
A nice red one, Gordo.
Mercury Sable with standard dual airbags and available ABS brakes. Accept no substitutes.
Cowboys designed Wrangler cowboy cut jeans to be comfortable around the office, especially when your office is 40,000 acres. Wrangler, the Western original.
There's a lot about the new Galant that you may not know, like being first in its class with dual airbags, standard. In fact, after Automobile Magazine scrutinized the all-new Galant, it said it may be the most car per dollar in its class. A class, we might add, that includes Accord and Camry. The all-new 1994 Mitsubishi Galant. Lease a new Galant S now for just $1,000 down and $199 a month.
After a hard day in the outback, dreams of the good life come easy. At Outback Steakhouse, we decided to bring these dreams to America. Well, most of them anyway. Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Today's game is brought to you in part by your Lincoln Mercury dealers. A 10-10 game at halftime here in Waco, and we are joined by a man whose name is really synonymous with Southwest Conference football for years, Dave Campbell's Texas football, for anybody who reads about Southwest Conference, and you've got a new enterprise as well.
Well, really, Dave, it's for the Baylor Bear Foundation. It's their fundraising arm, and I'm just producing a tabloid each week, which covers all sports at Baylor.
You're mainly, of course, noted for Texas football, and I guess a couple of years ago you ran a poll of your writers on the best game of the 1980s, and the game of the decade was 1986 A&M Baylor.
That's right, 31-30 down at Kyle Field. For a long time it appeared that Baylor would win that game, but the Aggies with Kevin Murray came back right at the end and won the game and went on to the Cotton Bowl.
Much football as you've seen in this league, how does this Aggie team, and I say this over the last couple of years too, stack up with the all-time greats?
Oh, it would be hard to say. Certainly it's a very solid team, and I think it stacks up well. There have been a lot of great Aggie teams, but I do think that R.C. Slocum has their program going so well that this entire assembly of teams would have to stack up well.
Good luck with your newsletter, and as always, the magazine. It's great to see you again.
Well, thank you very much, Dave.
All right, that is Dave Campbell. And right now, on the field at Floyd Casey Stadium, the Fightin' Aggie Marching Band.
At Texas A&M University, we're proud of our tradition of preparing Aggies for a lifetime of success.
Looking back, I feel that A&M as a whole taught me how to go into the community and help other people as well as be a leader on my job.
When you leave school, you have two things. You have your education, which relates directly to your job, and then you have personal skills, which allow you to deal with people.
I had an advantage coming out of Texas A&M.
There's no doubt.
Preparing top students for the workforce. At Texas A&M, it's our greatest tradition.
There's a hot new game spreading across Texas. Texas Hot Cash from the Texas Lottery. Anybody, the fire extinguisher over here. Match $3 amounts. And you can win up to $2,500. It's on the camera. Get the fire Texas Hot Cash. Cover up the camera. Quick, cover the camera. When we say hot, we mean it. Hot.
Apply Farm Bureau Insurance.
Our agent helps us get the right coverage.
So we're always protected. When you have a claim, Farm Bureau works hard to help you get things back to normal.
They can help you with a plan to make your retirement years great years.
Helping you is what we do best. That's why people across America, from every walk of life, depend on Farm Bureau Insurance.
Americans like you.
For auto, home, and life, call your local Farm Bureau today.
No matter where you go in Texas, I'll bet you'll see more Fords than any other make. That's because in Texas, Ford is #1. Texans never settle for second best. That's why they want the best built cars for the money, and they want the best service too. That's why your Ford dealer is proud to announce the new roadside assistance program. Any day, any hour, you're covered. Even if you run out of gas or leave your lights on and drain your battery. Leave it to your Texas Ford dealer to cover you in case you do something silly like lock your keys in your car.
We'll go for main engine start. 7, 6. We have main engine start. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
It's flight time at Rice Stadium, home of the 1993 Rice Owls. Don't miss the fun. Join this year's version of the Winged Warriors. 1993 Rice Football Trading Card Day, sponsored by Taco Cabana and the Houston Post. Call 629-3700.
10-10, Aggies and the Bears at halftime, and time now for the La Quinta Top 10 report. There are 7 games matching members of the Top 25 this week. Among them, Virginia, Florida State later, Tennessee, Alabama later, Notre Dame at BYU later. Number 4, Florida with a 10-0 lead at Auburn in the first quarter. Michigan State, Ohio State later on. Nebraska 14-7 early over a surprisingly good Kansas State team. Michigan, Penn State, first time ever that they have met. 14-10 Michigan in the fourth quarter at Happy Valley. Miami off until their Syracuse game, and later on Colorado. They'll be at Oklahoma. Here is number 13, Texas A&M, in a real battle with the unranked Bears, 10-10.
Why get an inferior foam shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when there's something more advanced than foam? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge. And now there's new soothing Edge Aftershave for sensitive, dry, and normal skin.
For 28 years, the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics has been the professional and educational association for over 4,100 individuals at 1,500 institutions. The NACTA Foundation provides internships and annually awards close to $500,000 in postgraduate scholarships. Join us in celebrating the centennial of our profession. We're NACTA, the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics.
Deep in the heart of Texas, and adored by lovers of the Old West, is Fort Worth, a city that not only has its own stock market, but is also a major financial center, because it's one of the 1,900 communities served by Nations Bank, letting Justin Industries keep in step with the latest ideas in investment banking, giving families like the Trevinos a fresh start, and offering a range of resources that keeps people in Fort Worth from having to play second fiddle to anyone.
After graduation, I want to be governor of Texas.
Governor of Texas. Governor of Texas. Governor of Texas. Governor of Texas. Governor of Texas. Governor of Colorado. Well, 5 out of 6 isn't bad. At the schools of the Southwest Conference, higher education turns dreams into reality.
We're We're back in Waco at halftime between Texas A&M and Baylor, and the Exxon Southwest Conference Supreme Team is back for its third year, riding a wave of success that saw fans cast more than 1.2 million ballots for last year's players. But the Exxon Southwest Conference Supreme Team honors more than statistical achievement. It honors heart and character. And just as importantly, Exxon and Exxon retailers provide academic scholarship funds as part of the Exxon Supreme Team program. Exxon has already donated more than $100,000 in academic scholarships to the conference, and today Exxon is making this year's first scholarship installment.
This year, Exxon will donate a nickel towards the Southwest Conference Scholarship Fund for every Supreme Team ballot cast at an Exxon station. Today we're here to make our first installment of $50,000. We encourage all the fans out there to vote often, so that at the end of the season we can make an even bigger contribution to the Academic Scholarship Fund. So on behalf of all the Exxon retailers, Commissioner Steve Hatchell, we're proud to present you that first check for $50,000.
It's great. Thank you, Bob. Everyone in the Southwest Conference is proud and honored of our relationship with Exxon, and we very happily take this check from you because of the opportunities it provides for many potential student athletes that we'll have at our conference. So from everyone in the Southwest Conference to Exxon and the Exxon retailers, we thank you for your support.
Be sure and cast your vote for the Exxon Southwest Conference Supreme Team before October 31st. Right now, take a moment and enjoy the Baylor University Golden Wave Marching Band.
I think what I like best about Baylor is the size of the school.
I can walk anywhere on campus from each building in less than 10 minutes.
The classes at Baylor are a lot like the classes in high school as far as size.
The first day of class, you go in, you introduce yourself to the professor. The next class period, he knows your name.
With the classes being as small as they are and the personal attention that you do get from it, you do learn more.
I've taken classes at other universities, and they just don't compare to Baylor.
A 400-point increase on the SAT. Impossible? Not when you utilize the powerful critical thinking skills and proven strategies developed by Dr. Gary Gruber. Now available for the first time as a powerful interactive video, you can have America's leading authority on the SAT in your home to help your 9th to 12th grade students. Call now 1-800-272-9266 and you'll start your child on the road to higher test scores. Dr. Gary Gruber has sold more than 4 million books on the SAT and has worked with students for over 25 years. You'll see the results immediately. If your child is preparing to take the PSAT, SAT, or any college entrance exam, this program is a must. No other video program available today combines these powerful critical thinking skills and proven strategies.
Getting accepted to a major university could come down to who gets the highest score on the SAT. Uphill grades can make that high score a reality.
Invest $89.95 in your child's future today. Call 1-800-272-9266.
17, your order's ready.
Number 6. It seems as though the creators of value meals have forgotten that value isn't just how much you pay, but how much you get. Well, with Whataburger's new Whata meals, you get Whataburger quality and value with the genuine Whataburger, Whata chicken, beef or chicken fajita, or grilled chicken sandwich, each served with hot fries and a cold drink, making all other value meals seem of very little value. Whataburger Whata meals at participating restaurants. Breakfast Whata meals also available.
10-10 game at halftime, A&M and Baylor here at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco. A&M, a very solid favorite in this game, but the people who know the history of the rivalry won't be all that shocked that it's tied.
Well, this game is usually one of those that goes down to the wire, and it looks like it's obviously going to go today. We've seen some things happen in this game that I think if they're repeated in the second half, such as a turnover, will make the big difference in the game.
First half highlights brought to you by the Texas Lottery. This is the first score of the game. It's Greg Hill on the pass from Corey Pullitt.
Thing to watch on this is the block of the offensive lineman. It's a swing screen pass. They can block downfield, and of course, Greg Hill is a good runner and gets it into the end zone.
Two key third down conversions on that drive for A&M. Touchdown for Baylor, 38 yards. J.J. Joe shows the arm is just fine as he hits Ben Bronson.
The key here was the fake, giving the illusion to the A&M secondary that it was going to be a run. Seam route, touchdown.
Baylor +8 on the turnover ratio list this year. Here's the interception, third of the year by the free safety Chris Lewis.
They faked an outside throw, trying to get the defensive secondary to loosen up a little bit, and then when Corey threw the ball, he had both feet off the ground, and he lost velocity, and it hurt him.
Big block here by Muhammad to knock Steve Solari backwards. That helps Joe get clear for 22 yards and a near score.
Khalif Muhammad has a big part to do with the first half of this ball game. He's another entity that could be the difference in the second half.
That set up Baylor's field goal. The Aggies got just before halftime, and we're 10-10 in Waco.
To make Friends Fly Free perfectly clear, our lawyer insisted on doing this commercial.
Friends Fly Free is exemplary for migratory commerce. Prior procurement is not essential, and remuneration is made for vouchers held in abeyance. One caveat, both parties enter the contract concurrently. In short, Friends Fly Free minimizes the aforementioned expenditures. Or rather, the fiduciary requirements remitted will invariably and in no uncertain terms compare favorably.
Friends Fly Free on Southwest Airlines. It's just plain smart.
The brand. In the West, it's the way a man marks what's his. We're the beef people, and our WD brand is on every steak we sell. It means our U.S. choice beef has been specially aged and trimmed to ensure more flavor, more tender, juicy beef. WD brand, the mark of quality from Winn-Dixie, the beef people.
Think of all this as a large block of ice. Think of this as a chip off the old block. Coors Light's aged ice cold. So when you think of ice, think of the silver bullet. The only way to chill.
The Lexus GS. It's a value under one roof. Whether you buy or lease at Sterling McCall Lexus and Westside Lexus.
The game of the week is brought to you by Exxon and its independent dealers and distributors who invite you to try Exxon 93 Supreme Gasoline. For high performance, rely on the Tiger. By your Texas Dodge dealers. By the Texas Lottery. By Southwest Airlines. And by Dr. Pepper. Our Lincoln Mercury dealers halftime stats. Or the first one that jumps right out at you. Yards on the ground for A&M. Just 2.4 per carry and 48 in the first half. But they threw it extremely well. 16 of 21 for 150.
That statistic on A&M's rushing is no more astounding than Baylor's rushing of 5.5 average against the Wrecking Crew.
The other one that really figured in, yards on first down, which Chuck Reedy said yesterday would decide the game in his opinion. 8.5 per first down for Baylor, and less than 4 per first down for the Aggies.
Well, that's a phenomenal statistic. 8.5. You're close to a first down on the first down. In grading that game plan, I think you are going to have to take a look at that, Dave, as well.
Well, some of the things we discussed there involve the assumption that Lamont Moore would play in the first half. He didn't. Surprised a few people that Joe started. Surprised, I'm sure, even more that he was 5 of 6 through the air. And the strike to Bronson, the early key. Then Atulius gets the second half underway, and it will be returned from 2 yards deep by Brandell Jackson. Somebody lost a helmet. He got near the 20. Bears go from there. That game plan that we talked about figured the possibility of Moore in, but it's all J.J. Joe at quarterback.
Well, the play on words, J.J. and Moore, it's all J.J., and I think he's performed very well, particularly for someone that's not taken a snap, but you have to remember he's taken a lot of them in the last 3 years. Second down and 6 simply means that you have got to make 4 yards on your first down, and Baylor certainly did that with an A, and they created a turnover, and that gives them an A in that area.
Well, the average was 2nd and 1.5 for the Bears. Joe on the keep to the 26-yard line, about 7 on first down this time. He gets 7, and that's below average today. Jason Atkinson, the inside backer, up for the tackle.
Obviously, the Baylor staff has decided to come back and really emphasize the option game again, as they did in the second quarter. Picked up 7 yards on the very first down. Good way to start.
They kept the Aggie defense guessing in terms of tendencies out of formations. Is that a key today?
That's absolutely the key. They're in the stack I again. They're running 3 basic plays out of that: the counter, the lead play.
Aggies are saying they got a fumble at the 30. And the officials back them up. Michael Hendricks on the recovery of the Baylor fumble.
Well, as we mentioned just a moment ago, turnovers can be the key. First one for the Bears in the ball game. John Henry looks like he's got the ball wrapped up well, but on making the tackle, the defender comes in and actually pulls his arm loose. The ball drops straight down before he hits the ground.
Sam Adams is the guy who reached in and ripped it away from Henry. Rodney Thomas, no gain on first down as the Bear defense is placed under a microscope now.
They blitzed on first down, brought the free safety. He was the one that came through into the offensive backfield and forced the play inside.
Still 14-10 Michigan, fourth quarter. And Pittsburgh shut out big by Notre Dame last week, tying Syracuse in the fourth quarter there. Close at Auburn. Nebraska tied with Kansas State in the second. Greg Hill. And that's about a yard shy of the first down, up near the 23-yard line. Philip Kent on the tackle. Here's the Aggie game plan coming in.
Their key was to stop the run first with an 8.5 average. They obviously did not do that. That would be at least a C. They did give one gift away, and we'd have to grade them down on that, but their special teams have been special today. So they've got an A there, and they got a turnover with a chance to put some points on the board in the 4-down zone.
With Shorp in motion, Hill hurdles to the Baylor 20, and it's first down A&M. There's one problem, really about the only problem the Bear defense has had. It is on third down.
Well, Texas A&M has had a good game today making third down conversions. They've made some long ones, and of course this one was a short one, but it's just as important as a 3rd and 9. It maintains possession of the football.
Yards not quite so easy for Hill this week. Pulling for Short. And he's inside the 1-yard line with that sliding grab of 19 yards. They rule him down before he slid on into the Gold AstroTurf area, and it's 1st and goal inside the 1 A&M.
This was a tremendous catch. Pullick throws the ball a little bit low. This is a great catch. Gets his hands underneath the ball, brings it into his chest, and the ball's on the 1-foot line.
Pullick thinks 6. Call was a good one. 1st and goal A&M in a 10-10 game. And it's not tied anymore. Touchdown, Greg Hill. Texas A&M cashes in the Baylor mistake. And the game may have just swung on that fumble recovery by Michael Hendricks. It is awfully quiet all of a sudden here in Waco. With the obvious exception of the Aggie section over across the way where they're going nuts. The extra point by Venetoulias has A&M back up by 7.
Third quarter, it's Texas A&M 17, Baylor 10.
Typical power play on the goal line, set tight end in motion to the formation. He gets a block on the outside perimeter, allows a touchdown.
For quick response. For smooth acceleration, turn him loose. For a cleaner engine, turn him loose. Move up to 93 octane Exxon Supreme and turn the Tiger loose.
Deep in the heart of Texas, and adored by lovers of the Old West, is Fort Worth, a city that not only has its own stock market, but is also a major financial center, because it's one of the 1,900 communities served by Nations Bank, letting Justin Industries keep in step with the latest ideas in investment banking, giving families like the Trevinos a fresh start, and offering a range of resources that keeps people in Fort Worth from having to play second fiddle to anyone.
At La Quinta Inns, our most frequent guests are traveling salesmen. So we asked a few how they'd sell La Quinta.
So you're on the road a lot, put in some long hours? Hey, I know how tough that can be. We really do earn our money, don't we? Okay, now where to stay? Consider La Quinta? They treat you good and the price is right. You care about money, or do you just want to throw it away?
La Quinta. You're not staying at a hotel. You're staying with us.
Dave Barnett, Grant Taff on Raycom and Prime Network. Biggest crowd of the year, 43,716 at Floyd Casey Stadium, which has seen the top 4 crowds in Baylor history, all when the Aggies came to visit. Last time they came in 2 years ago, the second biggest crowd in stadium history, better than 50,000. Near sellout today, and Jackson lets that one go into the end zone. And unanswered points for A&M, beginning with the late first-half field goal by Venetoulias. This drive, after the fumble recovery by Hendricks, 5 plays, 31 yards. And an injured Bear at the 18-yard line is Robert Mason, number 3.
Jay still in at quarterback.
Mason's so completely surrounded, it's really hard to see what exactly they're working on, but he will make his way with a limp over the sideline.
Coach Reedy said yesterday that he's been bothered by an ankle injury since early in the year. He came back, re-injured it, and it looks like he may have stung it a little bit again. Hope that he's not badly hurt.
And as you mentioned, J.J. Joe has gone the whole way at quarterback, which is a surprise. We expected to see the freshman Lamont Moore at some point today. Some speculation he might have started today after working all week in practice. Joe, as he fakes the option pitch, slides and is down for a loss of 1 by Antonio Shorter. at the 19.
Dave, that was a reverse play. They were going to run the wide receiver in a reverse, and number 5, White, for Texas A&M, read it, and he was in front of the reverse man, ready to take the pitch, and J.J. ate the ball appropriately.
And you're never sure what they're going to do on that play. It might not just be a reverse. There's several different wrinkles that the Bears can throw at you off that play. Loss of 1, though, 2nd and 11. And another loss. Muhammad hit by Solari back near the 15. So an aroused Aggie wrecking crew sends the Bears headed back toward their own goal line.
A&M made an adjustment at halftime. They've got the backside linebacker watching for the counter play, and he read that immediately, and for a loss. It's been averaging about 3 or 4 yards, so that was certainly good adjustment by the A&M coaching staff.
The officials blowing whistles as the Bears come to the line of scrimmage, and the timeout has been called by A&M. With 10:41 to go, third quarter, 17-10 Aggies.
Not so complicated, as simple as it can be. You're always a comfort to set our spirit free. Oh, you're a part of me, that's the heart of me. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me.
A lot of champagne glasses have been used to prove how smooth a car can be at high speed. Surely, a toast is in order for a truck that can do the same. New Dodge Ram. The rules have changed.
We're taking Texas by the horns, so see your Texas Dodge dealer today.
Why get an inferior foam shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when there's something more advanced than foam? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge. And now there's new soothing Edge Aftershave for sensitive, dry, and normal skin.
Vote and win in the Coors Light Fan Picks Poll. Pick the top college teams and enter to win New Year's Day Bowl tickets by calling today at 1-800-932-3000. Here's the top 10 for this week. Florida State, of course, Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami, and Florida, the second 5, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska, and Tennessee.
That Nebraska-Kansas State score is somewhat shocking to some people, but they're undefeated, Kansas State is.
Well, it was tied at 14. The Huskers come back in the second quarter. Auburn also, as you saw, is taking the lead on Florida. 3rd and 15. Aggies creeping up, showing blitz. Blitz is picked up pretty well. Joe is incomplete. Single coverage by Billy Mitchell on the pass intended for John Stanley, and the Bears have to punt from deep in their own end.
J.J. audibilized at the line of scrimmage when he saw the blitz coming, linebacker blitz, and he did the appropriate call, got it on a out route to the wide receiver.
And as you saw, just absolutely perfect coverage by Billy Mitchell. Willie Shupp will punt near his own goal line. Glenn standing near midfield. Aggies figure to get more great field position out of this. It is a terrible kick, which takes a bit of a Baylor bounce, and flags are down as it's out of bounds at the 42-yard line of Baylor. Just 27 yards. Boy, Dale over to get into the discussion with the rest of his crew. Hit an Aggie in the back, it looked like, and the flags flew immediately thereafter. Typhoon McMullen, the guy that it hit.
Once it hits the receiving player, any of the team members of the receiving team, it is a live ball.
Illegal touching by the kicking team. There is no flag. There's no flag.
See it bounce to the sideline.
And right there is what we thought would be holding Baylor. On Lance Marburger, number 16. Well, they say no flag. 1st and 10, Bear 42. Rodney Thomas got away from Gardner and overpowers Lewis. We might have a face mask on this tackle. He's close to the first down marker.
That looked more like the Rodney Thomas we've seen in the last couple of years, turning up the field and bowling people over with that demolition mentality that he has.
And it's face masking Baylor. How could that punt be illegal touching but no flag?
I think it was probably just missed because it touched the A&M player, which made it a live ball. It looked to me like they might have missed it.
5-yard face mask on the defense. First down.
Just a pitch sweep. Interior blocking is good. The ball comes to the outside, but the interior blocking stays right with the linebackers.
Chris Dowson, the All-American candidate, Outland candidate, senior center from San Antonio. Thomas with the cutback inside to pick up about 4. Always a fresh back for both these teams. Thomas, Hill, and McElroy each seeing considerable action. And likewise for Baylor, a lot of Henry, Jackson, Muhammad now starting to figure in more every week, and both Lewis and Strait at fullback.
Daryl Gardner made that play happen for the Baylor defense. He turned Thomas inside.
So 2nd and 7. Pulling off the play fake, wide open and dropped by Detron Smith, who had a blocker out there. All he had to do is grab it, turn, and scamper.
A&M likes to do this with their fullbacks. They both are good receivers as well as good blockers, and they like to slip them out in the flat. They're usually not picked up by the linebackers, and so there's always an opportunity to make yardage with that play.
That looked like an easy score that went awry. Each team has had a story to tell on what might have been today. So 3rd and 7 Aggies. Bullock chased this time, and he is dropped by Lamone Alexander. The Bear defense holds. Alexander, the senior from Houston Forest Brook, running down Pulley.
It's a big series for the Baylor defense after the short kick. Lamone Alexander making a big play. Lamone is a senior, been a 5-year guy, and here's a chance for him to get in a game, an important game, and make a big play.
So Venetoulias is on for a 45-yard kick. His longest this year is 45 yards. And the wind is at his back. Plenty of leg, and good. 13 unanswered Texas A&M points. They take their biggest lead of the afternoon.
Because most of our flights are short, this is what our meals look like on Southwest Airlines. It's also what our fares look like. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. Southwest Airlines has one of the best on-time records in the country.
Mr. Smith, you're early.
Just something to remember. Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart.
Always the finest. The finest U.S. choice beef. Aged for tenderness. And now the 1/8 inch trim, because we know you like it lean. That's WD brand U.S. choice beef. From Winn-Dixie, the beef people.
There's
New games spreading across Texas. Texas Hot Cash from the Texas Lottery.
Anybody, the fire extinguisher over here.
Match $3 amount. And you can win up to $2,500. It's on the camera. Get the fire Texas Hot Cash.
Cover up the camera. Quick, cover the camera.
When we say hot, we mean it.
Cut! Texas A&M in command now midway in the third quarter, 20-10. On a scoring drive set up by the 27-yard punt by Willie Shupp. Baylor has moved out to a 4-2 record this year, in large measure because they have not made mistakes like the two that have cost them this third quarter. The fumble turns into the touchdown, the bad punt turns into a field goal, and what was a 10-7 Baylor lead is now a 10-point deficit.
Baylor's also made a living during this season on coming back in the second half, and particularly in the fourth quarter. They've got that opportunity today, being down 10 points.
Excellent point. Brandell Jackson brings this one out from the 4-yard line and doesn't get much beyond the 20. Larry Walker on the tackle for the Aggie special teams. Scoring drive after the 27-yard Willie Shupp punt. 5 plays and 14 yards. Could have been 7. The drop by Detron Smith figured in big. Last 3 games for this Aggie Wrecking Crew defense. Opponents averaging 181 total yards per game, 72 on the ground, none over 100. No touchdowns allowed until today. On the bomb to Bronson. This is vintage Robert Strait struggling forward for about 4 near the 25. And Baylor today, 112 on the ground, 266 their average, 11th in the country. Passing just 67, they average 155 and a half. And 10 points, average is 25 and a half. Now this is just not an ordinary defense they're up against. Number 4 in the country, number 2 passing defense. Short yardage again, as you saw the 1-point Florida-Auburn game now. And the Bears will have 3rd and short.
Sean Washington is back in at the I-back position. Again, he and Khalif Muhammad have been rotating into that spot. When he's in there, normally you're going to see a run because he is probably the expected better blocker. But Khalif has proven to be a pretty good blocker in this game.
7:18 and counting in the third. Third down, and the Bears need 5. Out of the stack high, the quick give to Strait, who has the first down. He carried Reggie Graham about the last 5 or 6 yards. Senior from Cuero, listed at 244, but in his career, he's carried a lot more than that.
Robert Strait on a straight option handoff. The quarterback did a great job on the read, had very fine blocking up front, and Robert will normally take a defender backwards.
The important drive for the Bears is off to a good start as they try to stem this Aggie tide. And again, nothing fancy, just straight through the middle. Shorter on the tackle. Good balance as always in the running game for the Bears. Average per carry is what usually will tell you more of their value than the total yardage. It's rare to have a 1,000-yard back here because one back doesn't get enough carries usually to get up that high. I'm telling you like it's something you don't know.
Both teams have good depth at running back, and that's going to pay big dividends in the fourth quarter.
Tailback this time, and he's got a big hole and a first down to midfield. Jackson into the secondary where the safety White makes the stop. And this half has been vintage Baylor.
David Leaks, number 69. Takes the linebacker out. He's the linebacker that should cross over on flow, and Leaks did a great job keeping him away from the ball carrier.
Ground game again. Joe still with it. Dropped it. Still loose. Somebody's going to pick it up eventually, but it's still loose. Back at the 32-yard line of the Bears.
I think Baylor ended up with it.
I think they did. That thing, like the proverbial greased pig, goes backwards about 20 yards before the Bears at last jump on it at the 32-yard line.
J.J. on the option brings the ball outside after faking inside. The ball just slipped out of his hand. He was looked like he was reading the pitch, and he turned his palm down, and the ball fell out. Now here everybody's trying to get a handle on it, trying to pick it up and run with it. The coaches will say to you, get on the ball. Don't try to pick it up and run with it.
Yikes. Lloyd Dale got inadvertently into the middle of that, and it was recovered, it looked like, by Dustin Denard for Baylor. So at least they've still got the ball, but they also need 23 yards now for the first down. 2nd and 23 coming for the Bears. 5:31 to play, third quarter. 1913 last year at Aggieland, and Greg Hill with a big day, a 40-yard touchdown. His day featured 19 carries, 119 yards, and the Bears' problem all day was scoring when they had it inside the A&M 2. Here's the 40-yarder by Hill to seal it for the Aggies, who also got 116 yards and an 84-yard touchdown run by Rodney Thomas.
Hill is an outstanding player. They have 3 of the better running backs in the nation. So far, the Baylor defense has been a good, solid defense against their ability to break the ball long for long runs.
Next week, we go down to the brand-new Alamo Dome in San Antonio, and we get our first look at the Longhorns and the Mustangs this year. Noon Central Time. Check your local listings for the Exxon Game of the Week here on Raycom and Prime Network. Expecting a good crowd at the Alamo Dome, which was the site of a couple of Houston Oilers preseason games and 2 regular season Southwest Conference games. The Cougars and Red Raiders also play there in November. Joe going deep for Pedros, who makes the catch at the 21-yard line. 47 yards on 2nd and 28 in double coverage for the true freshman from Port Arthur.
I'd say J.J.'s arm is well rested. That's into a strong wind, but a great catch. The freshman, Pedros, pulled it in between 2 defenders. On the money.
Throw couldn't be better, catch couldn't be better, and the defense really couldn't be much better either. So a shock of life for the Baylor attack. Robert Strait barrels to the 12. He's close for another first. That is so typical. This drive set up by run, and then the long pass comes, and even when you're ready for it, as the Aggies were, Joe on the money for 47 yards in a 10-point game could change everything. Down near 4.5 minutes to go, third quarter. Stack eye, straight again, and this time they were ready at the line of scrimmage.
Very good defensive penetration underneath the block of the offensive line. Knifing forward, getting underneath the legs of Robert Strait. That's the only way to really stop a back of that size, is to get to him before he gets in that secondary.
In a series of big third downs all afternoon. Here's one for you. Bears need 1. They need the 11th. And it's straight to the 10. 1st and 10. 1st and goal from the 10. Active day for Antonio Shorter in the middle of that pocket.
Offensive line leaks, driving his man back, literally lifting him off the ground and driving him back.
You got Leaks at 342, Straight at 244.
That's a low.
It doesn't matter if you know they're coming at you.
Well, as a matter of fact, they do know. On third and short, Straight's going to get the ball.
Yeah, that makes it no less effective. Washington, the motion man, first and goal. Brandell Jackson for a 5-yard burst on first down. Reggie Graham made the tackle. He got a surprisingly big hole.
I think one of the extraordinary things that's happened for this Baylor offensive team is to have David Davis, number 73, a true freshman, starting for the entire year. This is his 6th game to start, and that's very unusual for a freshman to be able to play on this level as a freshman.
Jack Crow, their offensive coordinator, says this guy is mature and consistent well beyond his years. Does not look or play like a freshman. J.J. Joe on the keeper, crunched, leans forward to the 1, and it's stopped there. Michael Hendricks, who got most of the contact, didn't get all of it. And Joe stretched forward for an extra yard or 2. It'll be third and goal.
Coming off the fake of the fullback, number 48, Sean Washington, is a lead blocker. Watch him cut back in on the linebacker to give J.J. room to cut inside. Defense did a really good job stopping Joe from scoring. Normally he will score when you get that kind of block by Sean Washington on the linebacker.
What a drive by the Bears.
Yeah, consider where they came from after that fumble.
Touchdown, Baylor, John Henry. On a clearing block by Robert Strait, John Henry has his 8th touchdown of the year and his team within 4 of the Aggies. The extra point by Van Dyke makes it 20-17.
Just a straight pitch back with lead blockers. Brandell is very good at this, into the end zone. The middle linebacker, Atkinson, needs to come over solid. He gets picked up by the fullback.
Chuck Reedy will not have to make the decision that was staring him in the face had they not picked it up. You think he would have gone for it on 4th and goal?
Yes, I think with this much time, he probably would have down there. With this is a running team, and you go in and you teach that you can make first downs by coming off the football. More than likely he would have, but again, that's his choice.
Well, that's got to be the drive of the year. I guess right up there with the last one against Fresno State and that comeback. But you could just feel the Aggies getting more confident with every snap. They got the 10-point lead, big favorites even on the road. You could just read in their body language that they figured they had control. And it didn't last but one drive. The 47-yard pass from Joe to Pegros completely changed the momentum.
After the heat of the battle is over, you'll see coaches going back and looking at that fumble. Defense trying to pick it up. Offense finally getting on it, staying after the ball.
As you saw, the Aggies have the 3rd best conference winning streak ever. And a little pooch kick by Atterbury, bobbled but controlled by A&M. And they'll go from their 32. It was Detron Smith, who's used to handling the ball, who grabbed the rolling, bouncing kick, which I suppose was designed to get a guy who's not used to the ball to handle it.
That's the idea, and also to kick it with the wind blowing strong in your face, the ball will hang up sometimes, so they probably just wanted to try to get it down, let it bounce and roll around a little bit, and it was an effective kick. This is a very, very important series for Texas A&M offense. They need to cover up the score of Baylor on that last drive.
And they start with nothing fancy. Straight through, off left tackle for about 5 yards, goes Greg Hill. Well, Michigan upset by Michigan State last week in the first meeting ever between the Wolverines and Penn State. They go into Happy Valley, and it's not that happy anymore. 21-13, Michigan. Penn State had looked to solidify itself as the Rose Bowl favorite out of the Big Ten. That changes everything there. 2nd and 5. Pulig off the play fake. Has a man in single coverage, and it's almost dropped by Brian Mitchell, but he kept it onto the Baylor 44, and the juggling actually helped him on an 18-yard catch and run. Defense got off balance, and Mitchell keeps his head, makes the catch.
They're going to have to complete some passes. The Baylor defense is playing very well against the run today, and that type of play, that type of pass is essential for the Aggies to compete in order to get the ball down and score.
Rushing game today, not what it normally is, not close. But the passing game has surpassed its per-game average. Syracuse survives at Pittsburgh by 3. Hill pulled back after maybe one. Gardner reaching in there and yanking him backward near the 45. Florida closing quick in that first half at Auburn. Now up 13.
Baylor linebackers are playing the run very well. Baylor had against this type of running team. They've not faced it all year. Most of the teams they faced have been those that'll throw the ball most of the time.
On what may be the final play of the quarter, Pulig gets away from a sack and lets it go for Mitchell. It is caught inbounds at the Baylor 14.
Incredible play. It just is amazing play that Mitchell would be able to keep his presence of mind while Pulig is scrambling. He gets away from 2 or 3 people and makes an absolutely sensational throw and catch. That may be the play of the day, Dave.
And an injured Bear down. They had double coverage by Bell and Lewis, but a perfectly thrown ball, and it looks like Bell, the injured Bear, at the 10. End of the third quarter, A&M 20, Baylor 17.
We'll go for main engine start. 7, 6. We have main engine start. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
It's flight time at Rice Stadium, home of the 1993 Rice Owls. Don't miss the fun. Join this year's version of the Winged Warriors. 1993 Rice Football Trading Card Day, sponsored by Taco Cabana and the Houston Post. Call 629-3700.
The father of the sculptor was a steel worker. The mother of the rancher started with 6 cows. The man who owns the restaurant used to wash the dishes there. And the son of a farmer now turns corn into fuel. As long as Americans believe there's nothing they can't do, we'll keep helping them do it. Banking on America. Bank of America.
What time is it?
5:18.
Why are we
Well, I called this number and ordered the post for half off, and they said I'd get guaranteed delivery every weekday morning by 5:30. I don't believe
The
that.
half off or the 5:30?
Half off, I understand. Limited time offer, new subscribers only, take it or leave it. Great price for a great newspaper. I took it. But this 5:30 thing.
There it is. Are you going to get it?
Nah, I don't have to be up till 6.
Call now and save 50% on your Houston Post subscription.
Shopping for a used car or truck? Check out these specials at Mackay Chevrolet. Nearly 150 quality used cars and trucks. Inspected and serviced by Mackay technicians with a free 30-day, 3,000-mile service agreement. and the lowest competitive sale price in Houston. You could buy used cars somewhere else, but why? At Mackay Chevrolet, you get a great selection, a free service agreement, the lowest competitive price, and that great Mackay feeling.
The third quarter ends on an amazing 30-yard hookup between Corey Pulig on the run going to his left and Brian Mitchell perfectly thrown in double coverage, setting up the Aggies at the Baylor 14. Does it look familiar to you? Well, 3 years ago, Bucky Richardson on an almost identical pass. Almost out of bounds, but not quite as the Aggies score. But back came J.J. Joe with the connection to Lee Miles at Aggie Land in what became a 20-20 tie. One in a series of memorable Baylor A&M games. We've got another one today.
Brian Mitchell came back in for the first time this year, last week. Got to play in that game. Really wasn't significant, but this may be the play of the game.
Best numbers all year by Pulig. Short in motion, first play of the fourth quarter. The toss to Greg Hill, who strings it out and turns it up inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Couldn't quite get the corner turn because Adrian Robinson and Lamone Alexander came over to head him off.
But he did get a good bit of the corner turn. That's about 8 yards on first down. When you're inside the 4-down zone, that is a significant play. It was really a typical running team's play. Send a man in motion that he goes to the strong side. You've got an extra blocker over there. Just turn and pitch. The fullback leads, and you got a play worth 8 yards.
They need the 4-yard line for first down, and they're 6 away from 6. Hill leaps at the line, and he's right at the marker. What, depending on the spot, may turn into first and goal Aggies.
You see the motion man moving back and forth across the Aggie formation. Where he stops to block, that's where the ball is going to end up. Here he stopped just inside the left tackle, and you saw them hand the ball off on a power play right inside, trying to get the first down. Bringing in the quick stick.
They're going to measure, but they've already got 3rd and 1 up on the scoreboard and on the down marker. But the Aggies will find out exactly how much they need on 3rd down. About a foot.
Yep. Down there in that territory, a foot's a lot.
Cliff Gross stays in as the fullback. Short goes left inside of Ryan Matthews. McKeon also in at tight end. Hill is the tailback. Pulig on the sneak, first and goal to the 2.
Sent the tight end out to try to draw one of the linebackers out to soften up the inside a little bit for the quarterback sneak.
Well, as you said, this is maybe the key drive of the day for A&M because they've got to answer the Baylor momentum and the Baylor touchdown, get the lead back up from 3, and they've done it so far.
It's a critical series for them.
Still 2 tight ends and the full house backfield with Smith alongside Thomas. Oh my, is he wiped out. Tony Tubbs, the backup middle linebacker, off 2 years of knee problems. You'll see it and hear it as he meets Thomas. Oh, man.
That'll definitely make a highlight film.
Yeah.
Baylor's highlight film.
Well, they go from the I formation on 2nd and goal this time. Pulig rolling has some room, but is shoved out after perhaps a yard pickup by Chris Dole. Good reaction by the Bear defense. So 3rd and goal from just inside the 5. That's the hit of the year. You can't get it better than this.
Tony Tubbs.
You cannot deliver a better hit from short range than Tony Tubbs just did. We haven't seen Thomas since. Hill and Gross in the split backfield. Short toss all alone for the touchdown is Cliff Gross. First of the year for the junior from College Station as the Aggies retake the momentum. Great call. He was completely uncovered on that right side.
Well, David, that's what I was talking about earlier. Particularly when you get down inside the 5-yard line, those linebackers have got to be concerned about the inside run. So when that fullback doesn't block, he slides out in the flat. It's very difficult for the linebacker to stay with him. He's going to be open most of the time.
Harry Venetoulias and 27-17. A&M back up by 10. Not a defender in the picture. 12:55 remaining in Waco, and the Bears have got to come back again.
The new Ram pickup features a frame design so strong it's been patented. Its available rear step bumper can pull 5,000 pounds by itself without the help of that frame. And the tie-downs in back are so strong they can support the weight of the entire truck. We overbuilt this pickup because we were sure you'd never underwork it. New Dodge Ram. The rules have changed.
We're taking Texas by the horns. So see your Texas Dodge dealer today.
It's where the Panthers have brought home 3 state titles, and where each May brings a new spring festival queen. Yet Abbeville, South Carolina is also a major financial center because it's served by Nations Bank, giving Canfield Dairy the same resources as any national corporation, providing the Thompsons on Turner Street the investments they'd find on Wall Street, and making sure folks don't have to take a back seat to anyone. In Abbeville and 1,900 other communities throughout our nation.
Wouldn't it be great if your neighbor was Wally Dallenbach, the Keystone Beer Winston Cup driver?
Wally, great car.
Want to take it for a spin, Dave?
A spin?
And keep her under 170, Dave.
170?
See Wally Dallenbach, or possibly his neighbor Dave, race the Keystone Beer stock car in the Winston Cup Series. Well, how'd you drive, Dave?
Well, she drips a little in 3. No problem. But we need to bleed the brakes.
Wouldn't that be great?
Baylor had seized the momentum. It didn't last long. A&M scores on the short toss from Pulig to Gross, and it's 27-17 in the fourth quarter this year. And Grandel Jackson gets him going with a fine kick return out near the 30-yard line of 26 yards. Our Southwest Airlines storyline, Ryan Mitchell, 4 catches, 74 yards. Only 84 on the ground, however, and so Pulig's success through the air is what has A&M on top. Joe on only 8 tosses, 114 yards, 2 big ones to Bronson and Pegros. And the Bears average 6 yards per play. But they've got to start watching the clock out of the corner of their eye because they need 2 scores. With 12:49 to go, they stay in that stack eye, and they stay very conservative on first down, with about 4 or 5 yards for Bradford Lewis, the fullback.
Well, 2 things. Number 1, J.J. Joe has stayed in the whole game and has performed very well. Number 2, right now is the time that the offensive team has to move the football and get points on the board. There's 12:26 left in this game, 27-17. Right now, Baylor's offense has to perform.
They've been outscored in every quarter this year except for the 4th. Joe, late pitch, turns into big yardage for John Henry to the Aggie 44. 23 yards. That's a couple of seniors who know each other's moves, and Henry read right when Joe was going to get him the toss here.
Good read on the option play by J.J. Good load block by the I-back. Very good pitch at the last second, and of course, John Henry's a strong runner, as we pointed out before. Good tackle by Mickens. Good, solid tackle.
Ball carries for Baylor today, led by Straight's 12 carries and Henry's 69 yards. 8.6 per carry now for John Henry, including a touchdown. Muhammad 4 times, Lewis just twice. 1st and 10 Bears. Jackson squeezes through a hole to about the 40-yard line. We've heard coaches say, and that's not a fumble picked up by Aaron Glenn, still Baylor ball. We've heard coaches say that you really can't make much of a living stringing out this Aggie defense because one of their best attributes is pursuit. They're so quick at every position, and sure enough, so much of the success today is running right at them.
Well, that's true. You've got to run at this Aggie defense because they do pursue well, but the reason for Baylor's success on the outside, on the perimeter, is that because of the option, it slows the defense down. They have to look at the fullback, they have to look at the quarterback, so instead of running to the ball, they've got to read it.
Just a couple for Lewis, the first man through. Yeah, it's a little different when it's not just a straight toss and they don't have to worry about who has the ball. Into the corner.
Yeah, you turn and pitch it on any defense, and they can see it all the way. But on the option, they can't see it. They've got to make sure the fullback doesn't have it, and it just strings it out. So you got a better chance on perimeter with the option game.
Report from the Aggie sideline, Corey Pullig has a slightly injured ankle, but they do expect him to return.
He got hurt on the touchdown play. He looked like he got his ankle twisted. I saw him limp off, and the trainers went to him at that time. I expect him to be back, though.
Not limping on the sideline. Well, another in a series of big third downs. 2 play fake, short toss. Jackson did not fool Junior White. Number 5 hits number 5, short of the first down.
Now, one of the things that the Aggies have a problem with on that particular play is that Khalif, coming out of the backfield opposite, has to be covered by an inside linebacker. He would have been in a foot race had J.J. elected to throw back to him, which they may do in this series. Well, this is 4th down.
Well, they have to do it pretty quick. 4th and 4. And the Bears will go for it, apparently, unless they just try to draw the Aggies off sides again. Joe slips just as he's going to make the cut, and the Aggies have held. His slips today have cost him dearly. Aggie ball with 10:15 to go when we return.
Who are the best players in the Southwest Conference? Vote your favorite players on to the Exxon Supreme Team. And for the Southwest Conference Scholarship Fund. Vote for the Exxon Supreme Team. Exxon, rely on the Tiger.
Why Farm Bureau Insurance?
Our agent helps us get the right coverage,
so we're always protected. When you have a claim, Farm Bureau works hard to help you get things back to normal.
They can help you with a plan to make your retirement years great years.
Helping you is what we do best. That's why people across America, from every walk of life, depend on Farm Bureau Insurance.
Americans like you.
For auto, home, and life, call your local Farm Bureau today.
Diet Dr. Pepper, the taste you've been looking for.
Fourth down play, selection, option, coming to the wide side of the field. Excellent read by the quarterback right there. Now he brings the ball outside, got a great load block inside. Had he been able to make the cut, he might have had a chance to make the first down. He wasn't going to make a lot of yardage, but he might have made the first down, but he slipped.
Would have been tough with Hendricks over there. Atkinson had it pretty well covered. The Aggies take over at the 38-yard line, hoping to grind out some time with a 10-point lead. They start with a pitch to Greg Hill, who slips forward very close for another first down in midfield. And that game's not close anymore. SMU, the early lead at the Astrodome. Just underway at Amon Carter. Ohio State now with Michigan having won at Penn State. Ohio State now assuming command in that Big Ten race.
Last play was very typical play by a good solid running team, and that is to turn and pitch the ball to your great tailback. They've got three of them. This one happened to be Greg Hill. And you come off the football with good base blocks. You're up fairly high, and you're maintaining contact with the defense, and then let the back cut off of you. It's a staple in a running game offense.
And it is an Aggie first down. Pullick not showing any effects from whatever happened on that touchdown play to his ankle. But given their druthers, they'd probably just assume not have him have to drop back and throw or test it in any way. The more he can just do straight handoffs and pitches, the more time leaks off the clock. And as I say that, he goes on the option roll and overthrows Greg Short, the tight end.
Pressure's on Baylor's defense right now. They have got to hold Texas A&M, give their offense a chance to make some points. 9:45 left in this game, 27-17. Now's the hour for the Baylor defense to hold A&M.
Obviously, they'd like a turnover, but you gamble sometimes when you try to force a turnover. If you concentrate more on getting the ball than getting the man down, it can turn into 6 quick. Second and 10, Hill. To the Bear 45 to bring up third down and 4. George McCullough in on the hit, and the clock rolls down to 9.5 minutes to play in the game. Aggies 27, Bears 17. Season averages for A&M will come down with this factored in unless they have a huge rest of the game. 100 yards on the ground for a team that averages 255, and Baylor, as you see, averaging 266 to lead the conference. Flags are down, and it looked like the Bears were offsides, but it also looks like they'll decline it on the toss to Cliff Gross again. Scotty Lewis, the right end, appeared to jump and not get back in time. Gross got his first touchdown of the year moments ago. And also roughing the passer against Baylor.
Scotty Lewis, the right defensive end, jumps off sides. Number 75, Wesley, does not move a muscle, neither then nor now. He is still in his position. I think also had a roughing the kicker after that.
Offside, defense, decline, roughing the passer, defense. It'll be first and 10 after a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run.
Huge mark-off against Baylor. Here's the roughing. Pass was well on its way when Lewis, the same guy who jumped off sides, was called for the roughing penalty, and the Aggies really set up in good shape now at the Bear 21-yard line. Aggies had their own penalty worries in the first half on consecutive offsides problems, but they solved that, and they have stayed away from the flags in the second half. Very workmanlike, even after they were challenged to within 3 on the touchdown by Henry. Came right back, scored. Baylor trying to score again. Greg Hill inside the 15. Lost it, though, and the Bears say they've got a recovery back at the 19. Baylor ball. Well, we just talked about it. Sometimes you got to gamble and go for the ball as much as go for the tackle. It's Lamone Alexander who comes up with it.
That was a very big play. Just two mistakes, and A&M is down on the 20-yard line going in. Scotty Lewis comes across and somewhat atones for the offsides and the late hit on the quarterback. Knocked the ball loose. In comes Lamone Alexander to make the recovery.
Yeah, that's somewhat atoned.
Somewhat.
As in, if that doesn't happen and A&M scores, Baylor is just about without hope. Now they've got it, and they've got time, needing 2 scores, down 10 with 8:27 to go and 2 timeouts. Long way to travel, though. Bronson going deep, single coverage with Aaron Glenn, and broken up. That one was up for grabs for a long time. Looked like it could have come down in either hand.
Glenn got under that ball a little bit, lifted it, still out of the south. Either one of those 2 young men might have come up with a football.
Aggie defensive coaches say Aaron Glenn, in that style of defense, man-for-man coverage, at least as good, maybe better than Kevin Smith, who was the first-round pick of the Cowboys, and is now a starter for the Super Bowl champs. Randall Jackson spun down after a pickup of maybe 1.
A hit that'll make the highlight film for the Aggies as well. We've had 2 great hits in this second half by linebackers, 1 for Baylor and now for Texas A&M.
Reggie Graham, not of Tony Tubbs' velocity, but just as important because it sets up 3rd and 9 for the Bears. This is where the wrecking crew likes to tee off, and Sam Adams causes a fumble covered up by Baylor, but they'll have to, you would think, kick from deep in their own end. Adams wrapping up Joe, knocked the ball loose, covered by Craig Bellamy, the tight end.
It's a power rush by Adams, and he maintained strength in his legs and drove through the blocker, got a hand on the ball.
Heavy expectations 2 years ago for Adams, and this year living up to them. Willie Shupp gets off a good kick return from the 35 by Glenn into Baylor territory, and we might also tack on face masking Baylor. The return went 17 out to the 48, and then the face mask, it looked like, by Howard Antoine, number 37 for the Bears. That's the call. Chuck Reedy upset. But we'll see if it is a good call. Well, Glenn's head definitely whipped backwards. Kind of hard to see whether the hand had the face mask or another part of the helmet. It'll be a Baylor mark-off, though, and we have 6:54 to go. Aggies by
10. It's chasing after something you may never catch. It's hit or miss, and some days it's more miss. It's disappointing, it's dangerous, it's never, ever boring. In other words, it's exactly like a cowboy's life. At Wrangler, we know cowboys. Our jeans were invented by them. Wrangler, the Western original.
To make Friends Fly Free perfectly clear, our lawyer insisted on doing this commercial.
Friends Fly Free is exemplary for migratory commerce. Prior procurement is not essential, and remuneration is made for vouchers held in abeyance. One caveat, both parties enter the contract concurrently. In short, Friends Fly Free minimizes the aforementioned expenditures. Or rather, the fiduciary requirements remitted will invariably and in no uncertain terms compare favorably.
Friends Fly Free on Southwest Airlines. It's just plain smart.
When you buy a full-size custom van, you get a used car for 1 cent at Clear Lake Dodge. Hi, folks. I'm Tom Park. That's right. The word is out all over the Gulf Coast area. Over 150 full-size custom vans to choose from this weekend, this Sunday and this Monday. Your choice. Any custom van, get a car for 1 penny. Like this 94 right here. Brand new 94. It's got air conditioning, automatic, captain's chairs, rear sofa. I could go on and on. Only $18,900. Plus, you can choose from 25 different used cars. Just pick the one you like at 1 penny. This Sunday and Monday, only at Clear Lake Dodge.
5-yard mark-off against Baylor for the face masking sets up the Aggies at Baylor 43-yard line, 1st and 10 with 6:54 remaining. SMU a good start, TCU a good start. Bears needed to move the ball and could not. Greg Hill moves it close to another first down. Wrapped up by Charles Horton, his former Dallas Carter High School teammate. That's close to a gain of 10.
Outstanding blocking by the right side of the Aggie offensive line.
.64 yards now for Hill. Thomas has been held to 41, far and away his least productive day of the year on 15 carries. McElroy has not carried the ball today. It's been pretty much a two-man show. Gross has carried it twice. Pulling 5 times. That's it. Hill on 2nd and 1. Bursting into the secondary. First down. Baylor 26. Horton again on the stop. So the clock will stop as they move the change at 6:02 to go. The Aggies don't need a whole lot more time off the clock, with the Bears needing 2 scores.
They can maintain possession here for another first down. The clock will be down to around 3, and whatever they do, field goal or touchdown, puts Baylor in real jeopardy.
Undefeated Oklahoma trailing early at home against Colorado. McElroy for the first time on the ground. And about 2. Tubbs turned it back inside along with Lewis.
Good pursuit by the Baylor defense on the outside toss. Last 2 plays, the A&M offensive line has really come off the ball well and moved the Baylor defense. But that was a chance for Baylor to stop them, forcing a second down. And long.
Slocum feeling better with every second that goes off the clock, which is now near 5 minutes. Right at it. Each team with 2 timeouts. Little delay, which McElroy turns into a near first down. He bounced off Horton inside the 20. It'll be 3rd and short. You can kind of see in his body language when he squared those shoulders and got that burst going, he thought he had 6.
He saw that goal down in the end zone.
Well, he needs 2. 3rd down.
Clock's down to 4:27. Texas A&M 27, Baylor 17.
Flags are down on the Polig keeper, which would appear to have first down yardage for A&M. Looked like Lewis again mistimed his pursuit from right defensive end.
Well, it's very hot out there, and there's been a lot of intensity throughout the game, and if you lose your concentration, you're not to move on defense until the ball is snapped. You watch the football, but if you lose that concentration for whatever reason...
Offside! Defense! First down!
You end up making a very critical mistake.
Clock rolling down near 4 minutes to go. When the schedule came out for this year, the Aggies looked at 2 major tests on the road. They've already passed one at Texas Tech where they won 31-6. And they've almost passed the other big road test, the one today. McElroy inside the 10. Clock continues on at 3:40 and counting. Another tackle by Tony Tubbs.
Texas A&M has held their turnovers to 1 interception and 1 fumble. If they can maintain possession here, continue that clock on down, they're going to walk away from here still leading the Southwest Conference for the 19 and 93 championship.
And there is a long way to go. We're just halfway done. But they have Tech out of the way on the road and have Baylor out of the way. It will feel awfully good for all the Aggies. McElroy bounces off 1 hit and scores. Yards for the Aggie clincher by the freshman from Beaumont. Hadn't carried the ball at all until this drive, and he carries it all the way in. It is A&M 34-17. He had a chance to go down at the 5 here.
This is just a superior run. He's hit right here, keeps good balance, keeps his feet moving, and just dives into the end zone.
Touchdown McElroy. Advantage Aggies.
At La Quinta Inns, our most frequent guests are traveling salesmen. So we asked a few how they'd sell La Quinta.
Let me take you through the pros and cons of staying at La Quinta. Pro, free local phone calls. Pro, free continental breakfast for people on the go. Pro, modest rates that fit your budget. Con, La Quinta. It's hard to pronounce. Let's review. Pro, con. Need I say more?
La Quinta. You're not staying at a hotel. You're staying with us.
You know, all my life I've worked with the best. So when I needed a new truck, I just naturally went to Mac Hike Ford. I met all the folks at Mac Hike Ford. The body shop, the parts department, and the service drive. They got the best Ford team in Texas. And when they explained their price protection guarantee, heck, I knew I was going to get the best price too. You don't have to be Bum Phillips to get the best of Mac Hike Ford. You just have to tell them Bum sent you.
Got to be impressed with the way A&M has been so businesslike and fighting the Bears off today. This was a 20-17 game. Stadium was going nuts. Baylor's thinking they've got a chance for an upset, and very methodically, A&M responds with 2 touchdowns, the last on a 6-play, 43-yard drive, capped by Leland McElroy. Alamo Dome next week with the Longhorns and the Mustangs. That's a home game for SMU, and the first college football game ever in the brand-new Alamo Dome. 12 noon Central Time here on the Exxon Game of the Week.
I was down there in August and watched the 2 pro teams play, Cowboys and Houston, and I want to tell you something. I believe that is one of the finest football facilities that I've seen anywhere, and the players from both teams loved it. The configuration is great for watching, and also the field is a tremendous field to play on. There was a lot of compliments on that, so I'm excited about having a Southwest Conference game there next week.
Now, the players usually will grade a stadium on 2 things. How's the turf? How are the locker rooms? And it's straight A's.
Well, that's true. And it is straight A's down there. Also, you've got that replay in the end zone that makes it great to watch as well.
2:58 to go. Baylor with 2 timeouts. Down 17 for the first time today. The kick returned by Khalif Muhammad from the 2. Well, that's a little pirouette move. A little 360 at the 16, but it didn't get him anything. Baylor without much in the way of field position today. The Aggie 12th man today, Cole Reinards.
These guys get an opportunity to play on the kickoff team. They're all walk-ons. And this young man got down, didn't make the tackle, but I'm telling you, when he goes home tonight and talks to his friends down there in the dormitory, you won't know whether he made the tackle or not.